Construction. Oh, we'd like to welcome McKenna Gregg, who is our State Superintendent of Public Instruction, Susie Headland's designee, to partake in our meetings. According to MCA 22-1-101-2A, which states the commission is composed of the State Superintendent of Public Instruction or the superintendent's designee. So she is the superintendent's designee. Welcome, McKenna. We're very happy to have you join us.
Thank
It's
you.
always
I'm happy
nice
to
to have
be
a young
here.
face. Isn't it nice to have a young face? I'm sorry, that was youngism, but or ageism, one or the other. Okay, I'd like to,
anymore.
okay, I'd like to ask our commissioners and our staff to introduce themselves. Okay, so we'll start with Brian. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Brian Rossman. I'm a commissioner from Bozeman, and I'm the Montana University System representative appointed by the Commissioner of Higher Education. It's nice to meet you, McKenna.
Nice meeting you as well.
I'm Tom Burnett, Commissioner from Bozeman.
Betty Taylor from Whitefish. And I'm Jenny, I'm the state librarian.
And I'm Tammy Hall. Hi.
Hi.
And we have, let's have Carmen. Carmen, go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm Carmen Cuthbertson, the commissioner from Kalispell.
From Texas right now, right?
Yes. It's a bit warmer there.
A little bit warmer, I would think. Hi, Carmen. Okay, go ahead, Evan.
Evan Hamler, Digital Library Administrator, here at the State Library.
And I'm Melissa, nice to see you again. I'm the Central Services.
Got it. Karen, you want to tell us who you are?
Hi,
Since
my
you're
name is
here.
Karen Batchway. I'm Montana's GIS coordinator.
Okay.
GIS stands for Geographic Information Systems.
Well, it's nice meeting you all. I'm happy to be here. So excited to learn.
Great. Well, we're
Water and
excited to have
coffee
you.
over there. Perfect.
Okay, all righty. Okay, if we have any questions about Robert's rules, Commissioner Peggy Taylor has agreed to help us. Another reminder, if we're struggling to phrase a motion, I as chair may allow a discussion on how the motion should be phrased. Not in all motions, but using my discretion, I may allow a limited discussion in the phrasing of the motion. Also, we may ask questions, I think, before we do make a motion to clarify. If we have questions, let's clarify those before, and then we'll go on and we will limit the discussion to speaking twice during the discussion. Okay, so we won't be permitting excessive speaking.
After questions or.
After the questions, yes. But using my discretion, I may allow a further limited discussion in the phrasing of the motion. To be respectful of everyone's time and ours, I would like to ask any informational presentations to be no more than 10 minutes. Public comments will be limited to 3 minutes, using my discretion to allow more. With that being said, I would like to ask if there are any changes or additions to the agenda.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I request removal of the item to do with the budget consideration.
Is that the action item or
Yeah.
the discussion item?
The
The
action,
action item,
at 9:50, the confirmation commission
Yes,
budget
yes,
intentions
please.
for, okay.
Question. Will we have it at a different time? Is it not?
could be attended to later, but not at this meeting.
So you wanted, okay, so you want to delay it then?
Just indefinite dismissal, deferral.
Any. Not necessary. Okay.
Right, well, you want to vote on that, right? Or no, or just change it, just say,
I might, well, it changes in the agenda. I think we can just
just allow it.
just allow it. The other option would be to, when we get to that agenda item, just make a motion to indefinitely
Okay.
delay.
Okay, well,
So,
we'll do that.
That might be most proper since it is
Okay.
noticed.
All right, just do that then. Okay, are there any other changes?
And
Yeah.
I would just like information on how to get on trails. I think because we fund it in the commission, we do give money to it as a commissioner, we should have access to what we're paying for. So.
Okay, and
And I just,
Mhm.
Jenny said
Yeah.
she can get us on, but I'd like to make sure we all have an understanding of
Sure.
how to do that.
so should we add that
We
on
can-
into other
Yeah,
business?
let's talk about that under other business.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, well,
Thank you.
in the trails. And also I would, under other business, I would like to discuss the hotel arrangement
Oh, thank you.
process. Should have had that as, but it's good under other business. Is there anything else? Any other changes to the agenda? Okay, if not, we will go on. We have staff longevity recognitions. Marilyn Bennett and Carolyn Saltis. Each have been with us for 5 years of service, and I'm gonna have Jenny take over.
I'm gonna ask Evan to recognize Marilyn, and Marilyn's joining us online.
Yeah, sorry, Marilyn wanted to be here today. A little car trouble with the weather, so she's joined us online, but I started to write out something, but I have this problem. Whenever I start to write out all the great stuff Marilyn's done, that it gets really long. I hope you recall that in 2023, she was the State Library Governor's Award nominee recipient. And that was in part due to all the resilience that she's shown leading the Talking Book program through a very challenging time. Obviously, we all lived through COVID. What you may not realize is Marilyn started about 2 months before we were all sent home. And at the time, she was supervising 5 employees. I can't even imagine what it's like, thinking back to when I first started here, meeting my staff, and then within 2 months, not being able to interact with them directly in person. And yet she kept that program going. And not only did she keep it going, we all had to come together and get through that. But one of her employees was the only person that had to be in the building through that time. And so there were a whole lot of other responsibilities we leaned on her program for due to that unique situation. But and that was also what led to us recognizing the single point of failure in that program, and the lack of sustainability, which led us to ultimately contracting with Utah. But of course, that presented its own challenges. Her shifting role from primarily being supervisor to taking on really the outreach needs of that program on her own. But she loves it. She loves working with the blind and low vision community. She really wants us to be able to provide the best available services to them. And I just, just applaud her persistence and her resilience over the years. And most recently, I just want to highlight, sorry, I've gone on quite long already, but I just wanted to highlight with the changes to the building, our inability to have a recording studio here in-house. We do have the recording studio now over at the Department of Transportation. We moved from a model where we were doing all these recordings. We had tons of volunteers. We don't have the space for that or the time really to coordinate that anymore. But she's been going out and finding new and creative ways to continue to record Montana content. So she's been working with Utah, with the NLS. Traditionally, recording was always seen as something we did here. And now we're leveraging Utah recording studios, a recording studio in Brown, and even mobile recording studios to get content created for the state. And I just think it's amazing. She's done a great job. So thank you so much, Marilyn.
Thank you. It has been a great and fast 5 years, and I am honored to work with such an amazing staff here at MSL. Thanks.
Thank you, Marilyn.
Thank you, Marilyn. I visited with Marilyn at the Legislative Library, and I called her Bobby. But
That's okay.
She told me I was okay.
We have like the same hair, so.
Yeah, that was it. But yeah, she was very knowledgeable and just very able to tell me. I mean, the equipment was amazing. That what they, I was telling my husband about it, and he was like, I don't understand. I'm going to have to see this. But it was really amazing. So thank you, Marilyn.
Thank you.
Okay, and next.
Erin is going to acknowledge Caroline.
Good morning, everyone. Caroline should be on the call. She's joining us virtually today. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so she is there.
Okay.
That's okay, Caroline. First of all, her name is pronounced Pasaltis, so you
Oh,
do pronounce the P.
Pasaltis.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
okay.
Greek, so it's kind of a cool last name.
Yeah.
And nobody gets it right.
Yeah.
So it's my mission to make sure everybody understands how to
Good.
pronounce her name. So Caroline also joined us about 5 years ago, and it was a very obviously trying time. We, had rumors of what was going on nationally and hearing about how folks started getting ill, and she was one of the first people to help me respond to the pandemic. She started out hired as a GIS tech. And she supported a lot of the workflows that I had developed. So again, she was hired a couple weeks later. We were all going home. So I got to know her well because it was a pressure cooker situation. But she, like in true Caroline form, kind of came out a diamond. And I really appreciate all the support that she was able to give to me when she stepped up into that role. Along with a lot of other staff. And then she quickly transitioned to starting to support our geo-enabled elections workflows. So basically making sure that we have the correct data sources out there and available, collecting information from local government as a part of a greater team, and then supporting the Secretary of State's office to make sure that these data and information were made available. So some of the ways I would describe Caroline would be, she's very innovative. She has taken some software products that we have and really, I'd say, dove in and learned and became one of the experts in the office. She was able to build efficiencies through some of the processes to take processes of bringing in information, making sure that it aligned with other data sets. I'm trying to speak about this at a high level so that you understand it. But basically found efficiencies to take processes that might take an hour or more and take it down to minutes. And through that process, she was recognized by the software company and asked to give a presentation at a conference. And so I would say that she's been able to find efficiencies by using innovative techniques. She's won awards for developing posters that explain her processes, and we've kind of, when you print them out, they look like different creatures. So it was a slug, then it became a butterfly, and I'll have to get a picture of this because it's a very complicated workflow and it kind of describes the process. And so we have these like kind of nicknames for the processes that she creates. Outside of working for the state library, she helps mentor and teach children rock climbing. And so she manages a team, and she participates with her kids, takes them throughout the state and then to national competitions. So that is Caroline. She is a wonderful employee, and I'm sorry that you cannot see her face today, but maybe sometime soon in the future, you'll be able to meet her if you haven't already, so.
Hopefully she can hear it.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Oh,
Caroline.
thank you, Caroline. Pasaltis.
Pasaltis, yeah, yeah.
In Wisconsin, there was a lot of Polish people in PSZY, which,
Right, yeah,
yeah, and there was an R in there somewhere too. So it was,
yeah,
so, yeah, so I get the Pasaltis.
Yeah.
So that's why I left it out.
yeah.
Great, okay, all righty. They know where nobody else, so thank you. Okay, we'll go on to the consent agenda. Does anyone want anything pulled from the consent agenda to be discussed separately? This includes the minutes from December 11th, the commission bylaws and the amendments to the FY 24 Montana Library Annual Report. Does anybody want anything pulled from there to discuss?
On the December minutes, it shows what was supposed to be added to the annual report. Let me go back to that and look at it. Oh, there it is. Okay, I can look at it on here then.
Which page?
I'm trying to find it, hold on.
No, no problem.
Back to full screen. Back here. I'm sorry, I should have marked it on here, but I didn't.
Was it under commission goals and objectives? Is that page 6?
No, it was, sorry, it was specific to the report. I'm wondering now if it was in the, no, it should be in the December ones. I wrote down December.
Maybe I can offer some clarification. There was a discussion about the annual report at the December meeting. Some concerns that some previous changes were not reflected in the changes that Rebecca had made. And when we went back and reviewed the recording from October, we found that Rebecca had actually made the changes that had been requested. And so the version in your consent agenda reflects the recording from your October meeting. And we had.
Oh, so it was
talked about that in
back-
December.
It was back in October where that
Right,
started.
exactly. So I do think that what is in your consent agenda now reflects the language that was in the recording from your October meeting.
Okay. Let me look back here. Okay, I must have gotten confused between October and December again. I thought I read where the motion was to add text. Hmm,
And that was in October.
okay.
So did you want to vote to add text then, Carmen, or?
I'm trying to find it back in October again and I can't. Ah,
We did move to have more explanation in the minutes,
Well,
which we're getting.
we did, but then, it was voted, or it was said that things were okay, so then we voted against it. It was kind of, it was
No, actually, we have more this minutes. So I think we did it.
in December.
Well, I just know this
I'm just talking
meeting,
about the minutes, not the annual.
yeah.
Oh,
no,
the
that-
minutes. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
the minutes are
Okay,
reflecting
sorry.
much more.
So, hold on. So now what?
yeah, let's leave the report as it is. At this point, it's getting to be such a small thing. It's getting ridiculous. So let's leave it as is. And not have an explanation of why that rule was changed. I don't know. It's in the rearview mirror. Let's leave it alone.
Okay.
So we can vote on all.
Okay, so then we can go ahead and vote on everything, so we can discuss, we can pass, okay, so is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move to approve.
I'll second it.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded properly that we accept the consent agenda as is. Is there any further discussion? Any public comment? Okay, seeing as there is none, we will now vote on the motion, which is to pass the consent agenda or to accept it. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Okay. the
I
consent-
abstain.
You abstain, okay. The consent agenda has been approved by a voice vote. Okay.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
can I just ask for a point of clarification? Who is our secretary today? Who's taking minutes for us?
Good question. Tracy's online and she's taking minutes for
Okay.
us.
Thank you.
Tracy.
Thank
I
you.
didn't even,
Thanks for asking, and I did want to acknowledge Tracy as well as Melissa and Sharon, who will be typing up any motions for you. So
Okay.
again, have a whole team pulling together.
thank
Team
you.
effort to-
Yeah, sorry.
Man, I
Yeah,
missed
didn't-
Janet.
I
Yeah.
was just assuming
I
it
did
was
too.
getting done and I didn't really even think
Yeah,
about it.
and thanks
Well,
for
thank you.
asking. I meant to say that.
Thanks. Alrighty, okay, next we have, our action item concerning commission goals and next steps. Okay, I asked everyone to prioritize, the goals that we discussed at our work session. So from what I received back from the commissioners, I tried to figure out a good way to prioritizing the goals, so. And what I did was I just took the score, if somebody said one, I just had them all written down on. And then if whoever said four, so it was quite a range at times, but I hope I came to the best conclusion. Okay, so, number one would be support the trustee training by identifying baseline. Number two would be reconsidering ESLA. Number three, shorten the trustee manual. Number four, review accreditation for library directors and everyone else. Did you by chance get that copy for?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, sorry,
Yep.
okay.
Ken, did you get a copy? Yep.
I didn't get one.
You did. I didn't either.
Oh, that's good. Did you get a copy?
I have it online.
Okay.
There were six.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, so. Number four was review accreditation, certification, and award of continuing education credits for library directors, staff, and board members. Number five would be the commission will discuss MTSRN and expectations for it to become self-sustaining. Number six, improve relationship and communication between the commission and state library. Number seven, chair will improve communication between commissioners by sharing information from the state library. And number eight, commission members will learn about GIS, LiDAR, and the mapping services of the state library. I kind of figured that number six and number seven are both being worked on. And then I was going to talk about that in other business, if we wanted to still have the woman come and visit us from the department. State HR, did we, because she said that she was willing to come and spend time with us if we wanted from state HR. Do we want that? We probably wouldn't have it next meeting because we're in Bozeman, but possibly the June meeting.
I think you should think about what you would want to have her talk about.
Right. We have to have a work session to discuss that at some point. What's everyone thinking?
Didn't we want to include her on the job description was part of the reason we wanted to speak to her?
Yeah, and so that
So
would
I
have
think-
been, that would be,
I think it's something we should probably pursue.
I think we need to
In-
do some.
When it's.
so like in June, I just need to know
Yeah.
when to visit with her, to arrange a time for her to be able to come and let her know that, hey, we need you on this, on our meeting date.
Madam Chair.
Yes,
The only concern I have with the goals is that one of the biggest priorities in improving relationship and communication was that we develop an evaluation instrument, and that's not stated here, and that was one of the main goals. And it is also one of our most important, I would almost say the most important directive in our requirement by law, is that we are to hire, evaluate the state librarian. And so that was the whole thing, is every year we get to the process of evaluation, and the instruments that were given by the state every year deal with Jenny and her staff, and they don't go up. And so we decided that was a priority to develop that.
but it is on. Did we said? that?
Yes, but it's not on here.
No, but it is part of, did you get
It's a part of.
I have that,
this?
but I thought this is what we were using.
Well, this is all, I
Okay.
just took the title
Okay.
and everything that is under it is
Good.
what we will
Yeah.
do.
And so I guess I would say, I still think that's a really major priority, that we need to not just have it set a goal
Right, I
for.
see, sure.
We need to set absolute goal that we will have an evaluation document that everybody's familiar with by September. I mean, sometime before, and let's set a goal for it. That is a deadline,
Correct.
because we've done this now for 2 years. And
Okay,
it
so
doesn't-
we will need to do that. So
and
we
that
can
could be
always
done by the
change that.
personnel committee,
Right,
and people can research. I mean, you know, Brian, I know has access to documents, and I know I can contact many. You have the one that you use with your board of directors for the OPI. And what, you know, will be used with the secretary or the, you know, superintendent to her board. So we can get those documents and we can get them from, and give them to the personnel
okay,
committee.
so what we can do is have that ready for June when we discuss it with, I believe it's Lisa Culligan, in June.
Right, with her, but I would like
Right.
the document no later than September.
Right.
I mean,
So we as the personnel committee can get together and discuss a little further into that. We'll have a meeting, and then we'll bring it back in June, and we can probably have it set by September. Oh, is that right?
oh, yes, I think we have to. I think it's a,
So let's make sure
Legislative
that we
directive.
make sure we do number 6, improve relationship. Let's make sure that that's in June, and we will have a personnel committee meeting.
So Madam Chair.
Yes,
Are we going to actually adopt or all 8 of these goals? I mean, that seems excessive to me to have 8 goals.
I don't-
For the short
I
term.
think what we're going to do, what my vision is working on a couple of these per meeting. We may end up doing 3 per meeting since this is our,
So the answer is yes, we're going to.
We're going to
we're gonna have
try.
8 goals.
well, they're not 8, 7 and 8 are being worked on. all the
yeah,
time.
7 is, yeah, well, 8 isn't being worked on all the time, the commission members, we may not get that one done because that's huge.
Okay.
We may end up putting that one into next year. But I'm hoping, that pretty much is me, and I'm hoping that I'm trying to do a better job of sending, because I have sent on any information I've gotten from Jenny, and I'm going to try to do better at that.
And question,
Yes.
we are not doing number 3, the shortening of the trustee men. We aren't sitting
Right,
here
no,
doing that.
right.
That would be micromanaging.
And
That's
yeah,
Tracy and her
Tracy
staff.
And Kara and Cory, I would believe, right?
Right, they will be
And
doing it.
yes,
That's
yeah.
just our directing that's a.
and then
crucial-
we'll have a committee that will reconsider the ESLA. Correct?
Well, Brian brings up, I think, an excellent point. Maybe we should put next to this who is responsible, because as they sit, it looks like there are commission goals.
Sure.
If you look at your document, the mission goal, the
Yeah.
next steps, if Sharon could bring up that document.
Mhm.
Been broken.
It's
That,
broken down.
that's my hope, because, you know, some of these goals are gonna create work for our staff. And so we need to be able to identify what
Yes.
staff are gonna be working on. Not everything is urgent.
No.
You know, we have a year or longer to work on these goals.
Right.
And so just as you did with the performance evaluation, identifying, so I've in my notes now written Lisa Culligan in the personnel committee. We want that instrument available no later than September. So if we can, at least for those that are the top, maybe 3 of these goals, actually talk about what is the work that we're going to do? Who is responsible? When do you want to see it back? So that we can plan out our work over the next several months.
All right, and so the trainee trustee, I believe that's probably high on the list, that support trustee training by identifying baseline data. I mean,
How is that different than the past?
So-
Haven't we done that for 2 years? We had that training day. We have somebody explain at every meeting.
You had asked
how many
questions,
trustees are receiving training?
you had asked some
yeah.
specific questions about how many trustees are receiving training.
How many?
How many have earned certification, what training that have they taken? So
Okay,
that's
That's
information
information.
that we can bring back to
that
you,
would be good.
perhaps at your March meeting. So at least getting to the point where you have baseline data, and I don't know where that goal will go from there.
Okay,
But
okay,
if that's your top priority, then I would suggest that staff prepare a report to bring back to you at your March meeting.
I think this was yours, Tom, or you feel good about that?
Yeah, that's,
And Carmen,
And Tracy,
it's already underway.
right, and Tracy and her staff, they're the ones that they partly asked
Right.
about shortening the manual as did
Mhm.
Carmen, I believe. So I think they were looking into that already, so we probably started working on that already.
number
Any
2.
idea?
Okay.
Just a
Madam
second.
Chair,
Yes, Carmen.
could we add to the question, how many trustees are receiving training? How many trustees are there at any given time? I know they rotate at least yearly, but how many are actively being trustees at any given time? I would love to know that so that we have a percentage of how many are actually making use of the training we offer.
Okay, I noted that.
So one and three actually kind of go,
Yes.
they go together. So, but they. I guess because the shortening the trustee training manual is Tracy, it is a little bit different. I mean, because we just wanted to know the information before going on there.
I think that 1 and 3 very comfortably are combined, because we're trying to improve our work with trustees.
Okay. So if we combine 1 and 3,
Madam Chair,
yes,
I would think the shortening of the manual should have a longer time frame than the baseline report.
yeah, there's no way we'll be able to get that done by March. I wouldn't want to task them with that.
Okay. So June or August,
What, Tracy, are you there?
And you are
There you
correct.
are.
We have been shortening the trustee manual, so I think June would be doable. If that works for
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
could we please, at the end of the meeting, have this filled out with the responsible party and the suggested dates and email that to all the commissioners?
I'm making notes.
yeah, Jenny's making notes. Thank you. We will do that.
Great, thank you.
Okay, I'm making notes. too.
Okay, so we can compare.
All right, so then the ESLA, should we have a committee? I believe we should have a committee to discuss the ELSA, the ELSA. Not ESLA, else, I feel like I'm spelling eagles. The ELSA award discussion, so. Let's have a committee. Who is interested in being on the committee for the ELSA?
I'm happy to volunteer for that.
Okay, Carmen? Who else? Anybody else?
I would,
Debbie, do you want to be Brian?
Sure.
Okay, Carmen, Tom, and Brian? Okay. Appreciate that. All right, so let's do those 3 for the committee. When would you like to, let's see, we
Should
need
we-
to,
Tentatively say October for that?
because we're going to do it for this year.
Here.
So then in October, we'd be able to present it to the librarians, okay? Okay, so October for that, guys, how's that sound for? October,
That sounds good. I would like to work with my fellow commission members and maybe with Jenny and maybe Tracy to figure out a schedule working backwards. If we want to have a document that can go to the libraries so they know what to aim for, we need to work backward from October to make sure we get that done, because that involves a lot of thought, I would think.
That sounds good.
I'm sure, I have a question for the state librarian. If the sentiment of the commission and the report from the committee come back to put this on ice for the time being. Is October appropriate time for notification? Because they might be doing some work. We don't want to spoil work that's underway.
I think it would be, we have the application period for this year open right now. And so normally people wouldn't start thinking about the application until probably December of next year. So I do think that October is adequate.
Very good. Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right, great. Okay,
Madam
so-
Chair?
Yes, Carmen?
Question for Jenny, what is the deadline to submit the public library survey data? What schedule is that on?
Public library survey data is due in November.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. All right, so we have 1, 2, and 3 taken care of. Okay, number 4. Review accreditation, certification, and award of continuing ed credits for library directors, staff, and members. Now,
Madam Chair,
yes,
again, I'd like to point out that 4 and 6 are the 2 statutory mandates to this commission.
okay, so
And
4.
They are 2 that we discussed throughout the year last year that we were not adequately doing. We were not adequately following the review of the accreditation certification, and what was in them and we were giving our credit to. And again, the evaluation of the librarian, those are 2 things we're directed to do by statute. So we have to do those 2. And after the evaluation in December, we actually discussed a great deal about the need for 4 and 6. And so I just really, again, want to emphasize the others are good and it's important to do them. Those 2 we have no choice on. And so I'm very hopeful that we get the commission involved in 4 and 6.
Madam Chair, point of clarification, can you please tell me what statute requires us, the State Library Commission, to be involved in accreditation? I mean, I don't know.
We are responsible for the accreditation, the credits that are given out.
So what statute actually requires?
It's actually our statutes of our existence.
22-1-103.
Yeah, it says,
Act as the state board of professional standards and examiners, develop standards for public libraries and adopt rules for the certification of libraries.
number 8.
I do think we want to make a little bit of a distinction between accreditation and certification, and that's something that we can talk about as you explore this goal.
Thank you for that clarification.
Madam
All right.
Chair?
Yes, Carmen?
So Tammy, are you saying we should make goal 4 and 6 our primary goals because they are required by MCA?
Yeah, I do. And when we came to those, every time we did, those were things we recognized. We were putting that totally on staff when we're supposed to overview those. We aren't supposed to just say, have at it, offer any class that you want. We'll give accreditation or certification to anything. It needed to be a little tightened up as to what could be. Again, this is not the trustees to their own librarians. This is us to all what the librarians have to accomplish. And just like OPI has requirements and they are set and they're good, you make time for them because they matter.
Yes.
One of your primary jobs, I would think.
One of many.
Yeah. So
So,
I just really believe that we need a oversight on this and at least a clarification to give to the staff on what is acceptable as accreditation and certification and what what requirements we have for training.
So I think we need to identify then what steps are involved in that process. You know, evaluating what the current practices are, you know, considering what certification and training needs exist. Our certification program has its own manual as well as administrative rules associated with it. If you're suggesting that those rules be changed, then there's an administrative rules process that has to go through. So, you know, that's all work and effort that's going to take time and education and thought. So again, my hope is that if this is a priority, then whether it's a subcommittee or, other, you know, the staff presenting regular information back to the commission, we have a plan over several meetings to check off the list of tasks so that you can accomplish this goal. You know, to me, one of the questions that I have is, what are you trying to accomplish in identifying this goal? What does success look like for you?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
to satisfy Commissioner Hall's proposal, I would suggest that this be part of our agenda at every meeting. First, a report, training on where we are now, how it works, and we start that at the next meeting. We make it important in every meeting, and this doesn't satisfy the librarian's request for a timeline, but we should start with full information. And then we can start to act in the ensuing meetings.
So it's an educational session at your next meeting about the current certification.
And what the
Process.
process includes, yes. From
Does that satisfy
probably
Commissioner Hall's?
Coley and.
Yeah, it would be Colleen and Tracy.
In response to the question, I don't think it'll require a rules change or anything like that. I think what we discovered last year was that it had gotten a little loosey-goosey as to what we listed as acceptable classes you could take for accreditation or for your training. And we were saying we didn't approve of the items, but we had them on our webpage. Well, when you put them on our webpage, you've given our staff of approval. And I think we have to be honest about that. Once we say this is on the list of classes you can take, we have approved it. And so I think what we have to agree to is what should they cover, what kinds of topics, and just set some standards. That's what we're supposed to do. So I agree with you. We need to start with what are we doing presently and what standards do we want to see going out on those classes we approve. Again, the local libraries can have all the classes they want for their librarians on fly fishing or whatever they want. That's their choice. They have every right to do that. But our accreditation should cover the law, the budget procedure, running a meeting, running a library, following,
Chair,
Yes.
our present system has 4 major headings
Right.
under which your classes can follow.
mhm,
And perhaps you are saying that they are overly broad and they are allowing for things that are not as tight to the
Mhm.
librarianship as you and maybe eventually the commission would like.
mhm,
Is that
mhm,
kind of where you're driving it?
mhm.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Carmen. Yes.
we have on our standing reports, I believe, the broken link report. And I've actually asked myself why that's on there. That's such I mean, it's a small thing. It is important because it's very annoying if you're looking for information and the links don't work. And it seems to me that staff has really brought those down. Maybe we could remove that item as a standing report and instead ask for a review every meeting as to how many people, staff, directors, and trustees, if I understand the distinctions correctly that we're making, how many people are involved and taking classes, how many people are currently certified, how many people are out there that have never taken a class, have never become certified, are probably not going to become certified through our courses, and just get a standing report at every meeting on our program instead of the broken links. I don't want to add, more and more and more standing reports until we're just buried in them. But maybe we can replace the broken links one with this, and maybe that's more useful to us, so we can keep track of how the program is doing as we start maybe improving it or making changes to it. I would hope that we would see more people taking the training, maybe better feedback on, yes, I took it, it was easy to get the credits for it. So that's my suggestion, that we maybe throw out the broken links standing report and instead insert a standing report regarding our certification classes and programs.
Question, Madam Chair. May I ask Carmen? Carmen, I think you're talking about, and I like the idea of a general standing item. Yours apply sort of to one, the question number one, how many trustees are taking at baseline? And then including with it, the one I'm very interested in, number 4, what are the new classes we're considering? What are we looking at giving credit for? So we keep updating that. They would be together, right? Is that what they would be part of the same report? What are the new classes? What are we looking at accreditation for?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I think
Yes.
that could be part of such a report. I think it would be appropriate for us to give Jenny and the staff some guidance as to what we want to be seeing in such a standing report. And my idea was to see the numbers of how many people are taking classes. If I understand you right, Tammy, you're adding questions about what classes are we offering? What have we added? Have we dropped any offerings that are not being used? I think that would be an excellent addition to such a report. And I think we should let the staff know what we would like to see in that standing report. And of course, as we get that report a couple of times, we may have other questions, and we may want to add other data to that standing report. It might be a little bit of a work in progress at first, but I think that's a good addition too.
So we actually do maintain a dashboard for our certification program right now. So in March, if we do an overview of the certification program, we can do an overview of the information that's included on that dashboard and get your feedback about what information is helpful, what information might be missing from that dashboard, what additional information you might want to see. I do want to caution the commission, if you are going to put any restrictions on the types of courses that we offer certification for, that process has to come in the form of, at a minimum, updates to the manual. I'm not an attorney, but I would suggest we ask ourselves whether or not administrative rules need to be considered in looking at that. We can't just say in a meeting, these are the things that we're going to approve of. Those are the kinds of decisions that are articulated in policies and manuals and sometimes administrative rule. And I haven't looked at this administrative rule recently, so I want to refresh my memory on what's the specific administrative rules are for our certification program in case those kinds of restrictions need to be stated there. You're
Madam
talking
Chair?
about significant changes.
Yes,
Madam
Carmen.
Chair?
Yes.
So I would like to request that our first of these potential standing reports includes the relevant administrative rules, so we can go over them and not make a mistake there. So thank you, Jenny, for that. That's good to know.
So I've noted that we'll have that discussion at your March meeting.
Together with the first kind of attempt at a report.
Yes.
Okay.
Madam Chair, an element that I would like to see included in such a report is credits granted in the previous period by title and offering agency, offering entity.
there any further discussion? I guess we need to keep going a little bit. The rest of this, so I think we need to recap this. We are for 4 and 6. We will have, at our next meeting, we will have an in-depth presentation by Colette and Tracy. And in June, we will have the 8th, I will talk to Lisa Culligan about coming. Do you believe we should have a subcommittee to discuss this, or should we wait until March to form a subcommittee about the accreditation certification and award when we find out more information about?
I believe we need it now, and I'd be willing to serve. I think it's a very, very important thing. I think it's one of the things when I came on the commission that had gotten out sort of loosey-goosey and lost from our responsibility, and it was easy for us to let it go, but we're not allowed to. And I think we have to, and I will refer to that in one of our items further on that. But I think we are gonna have, we're gonna have a almost legislative, mandate to control these processes. So.
Who else would like to serve in this subcommittee?
Carmen, would you want to be on that to review classes? Because you take them as a trustee.
Okay, I can bring in the trustee viewpoint.
Yeah.
No, I'm going to not say no because my daughter's moving into a high-risk pregnancy, so I'm not gonna commit myself
Okay,
to any extra.
Okay.
And I'm on the personnel committee. She's fine, but it just might be headed that way. So
You want me
my
to-
spring might be busy.
Sure, I can.
It'd be good to
Yeah.
have her help because
yeah, I didn't
he
know if you would.
knows the law.
Ask you.
I'm still learning, so I'll.
Oh, you would be a great asset.
Great, thank you.
Of course.
So we'll have that subcommittee be Tammy, Carmen, and McKenna. All right,
And that was not meant in any way, Madam Chair, to be a criticism of Jenny and staff. I would say that's more accountability of the commissioners who have not stayed on top of one of their mandates.
so we're the bad.
We're the bad
We're the
guys.
bad guys, okay, that's fine. Okay,
Madam Chair,
yes.
I would like to add to the request for information at the next meeting, a definition of accreditation, certification, and continuing education credits, and then the consequences of what those lead to, and which of these is tied to the state aid for libraries, or what other consequences it carries when you don't get certified.
Thanks, Carmen.
Just, I keep getting confused, so
Mm.
thank you.
Got it.
So
We appreciate your viewpoint. You kind of wear two hats here, so we appreciate that. Okay, so
We have not talked about 5 and 8.
5. Okay, the commission will discuss MTSRN and expectations for it to become self-sustaining. And the commission members will learn about GIS, LiDAR, and mapping services at the state library.
that's ongoing.
Yes,
As I said, in
the,
don't we have a?
yeah, so,
The glide path, right?
yes, we have the glide path, that'll be included, the,
Yeah.
Yes.
Agenda today.
okay, so I think that we're okay there because so should we have that be 5 or we kind of have rearranged a lot of these. Let's go back through everybody and prioritize what we have here. So what I'm seeing is maybe 1 and 4 are, 1 and 3, excuse me, 1 and 3, the support the trustee training and the shorten the trustee manual are being pretty much combined.
And staff driven,
Pardon me?
staff driven.
Staff driven, right. So I guess we could still have them as number 1, but since they're staff driven, that's
It's not
relieves a lot of obligation from us. Sorry, staff. Then number 2 would be the ELSA. And we will, and that is a committee. And then number 4 and 6 are combined, basically. And we have a.
No, I think 6 still stays with
Okay,
the
6 is
personnel.
on its own, okay.
It's the personnel committee.
Okay, so 4, and then,
6 and 7 are basically,
yes,
and then we've got a personnel
Yes.
committee.
okay, so 6 and 7 are basically together. Then number 5 will come after 6 and 7. Basically, because it's, and 8, and then 8. So good, this is.
And we have a staff committee for, a commission.
Commission.
Yeah.
Committee. And a commission for 2,
5 and
a
8
committee
is-
for 2,
Madam Chair,
yes.
I have a suggestion for goal number 8. Could we request from staff online content that each commissioner can watch on their own? And maybe we can give ourselves an accountability record report and say, I watched this, I watched that. If such material is available online, I do not know if it is, but I think that would be something that
Oh, it is.
each commissioner could do on their own.
There's just so much information that if you could help us narrow down what you think your areas of interest are, we can definitely provide that kind of information. Maybe starting with sort of just a baseline overview of what GIS is and maybe how it applies to.
That's how I would go, simple, and then
Yeah.
more in depth.
We can self-certify or check our certification.
No test, please.
So yes, I think if we could start, for those of us who are not that familiar with this technology, very simple explanation, what is this technology capable of and who uses it and for what purpose? And then secondary, what the state library's role is in providing this information and collecting it. To me, those are 2 separate issues, and I think if you don't understand why this information exists and how it is collected, what it actually is and what it's used for, it's very difficult to evaluate the role of the state library in collecting, managing, sorting, and making this information available. So to me, there's 2 steps here, and I think if you don't have step 1, step 2 just won't make any sense.
We'll give some thought to what we think might be most helpful for you and share that out. And then I just looking at my notes about upcoming meetings, maybe we can put a placeholder in August to have a review of some of those training materials and figure out what future questions you might have that we might want to focus on.
Madam Chair, may I ask Jenny a question? Jenny, on our all-day training we had, I found that morning session very, very helpful. We spent the whole morning on this kind of general topic. That was recorded correctly?
I think so.
Yeah,
So yeah, we can go
because I
back and
think
point to
we,
some of our
especially for
recordings.
like McKenna, who's new, we had a full 3-hour presentation at our one day, and the whole morning was pretty much on this topic, and it was very helpful. And so I think we can make that available to,
Our last February.
yeah, it was last February, I think. And it was really, really helpful, and like Brian, and I think, and I could watch it again, cause I forget what all this is. When we get information on this, I think the missing link for me personally, and I don't expect you to answer this just for me. But for me, is that who else is doing this? We get what we're doing, but I keep hearing on the news in Bozeman that a Bozeman committee just won the state business award for doing this with the petroleum industry and the state EPA business and all that. So who else is doing this? And are we duplicating, or how are we working with all the other people now doing LiDAR and the mapping? And so I think that's always something missing for me. But I have to tell you, people like it. They use it.
If this is an action item, how are we gonna form it?
Why don't I review my notes?
Okay,
And
there
then
you go.
if you agree, if you don't agree, tell me. If you agree, then just a motion to accept
Okay,
my review.
Madam Chair? Madam
Yes.
Chair,
yes,
do we have an opportunity to fill this form out on the screen as Jenny talks?
That's a good idea. We could go back and do it and review it.
If you can,
I can try it. I don't think.
let me see if I can share my screen really quick, because I've taken notes. Just give me just a second.
I would move that we delay this till later in the agenda while we develop an actual motion. But we all have it, right?
Oh, sorry, guys. It's still on, but did I?
Program, right?
yeah, that's it.
We could fill that out, bring it back.
I don't know that I'm gonna be able to share my screen from my computer.
Okay, thank you for trying. Is there,
Jenny, do you want to email that to me and then I can try to
Yeah,
bring it up and we
that's a
can
good
fill it
idea.
out as we go?
We can. We could delay it until where would we put it? Because we do have to have a motion on it.
I would be comfortable delaying it till March and bringing it back completed as we've read. Is there anything that has to go before that? Carmen, are you okay with that too?
I would love it if we could just do it now, put it on the screen
Okay.
and vote yes on the whole thing and then it's done.
Okay,
If I'm the only one,
no, it's
I'll
okay. I think
contain
we can
myself.
do it. But I would delay it in the program and then we can kind of work on it.
I just sent it to Sharon, so maybe she can bring it up.
Are we doing on time?
That's what I was just.
Yeah, I was looking at, where
I'd rather
to
not.
review the state.
I'd rather not write this in committee. I'd rather write it and then bring it back.
Do we want to have a little break while, let's have a little break while,
Okay, sure.
Carmen, why do you have a huge safety pin behind you?
Oh, I'm in my daughter's craft room and this is wall decor that she put up in her craft room. She's
Okay.
knitter and crochet and sewing and embroidery and beading and whatever person, so.
It's like, is that a weapon?
Has nothing to do with diapers or anything like that.
okay, so shall we take a five,
So Madam Chair, there is a motion on the table
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah, to delay it until later in the
Oh, okay,
program.
sorry about
But
that.
there was not a
Okay, thank you.
second.
There was not a second.
No.
Okay, is there a
We died.
second? We didn't ask for. I
If
did
you
not
want
ask
to
for a
delay
second.
till we, for now, for like later in the agenda, so that we have it written up.
You do need the time, I'll second it.
It has been moved and seconded that we delay this till later in the meeting today. I guess we need to look and see where we would put it, but all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
I,
Okay. So we will, it has been moved, it's approved, so we need to find a spot to put it.
Well, we could go back down to 11:40 because it's still under commission goals and objectives.
Yeah.
Okay,
Review moving motions
So-
and objectives.
okay, so we will put it down where underneath the review and prioritize agenda items for March business meeting, we'll put it under, in that area. Okay. Okay, so Sharon will bring that, get that. Yep, she's got it. Oh, she's got it already.
Right on.
We're on a break.
Let's go ahead and break just for 3 minutes
And then I'll be on.
And then we'll be back, yeah, it'll be basically on time, 10-11, we'll come back.
Yeah, Jenny. This is done, ongoing, now is coming.
That's, that was.
And then, subcommittee, Tammy Conley.
So we have to,
Yep, I've got.
we have to do that. So that budget intention.
Yeah,
First one is ongoing. I do,
She said-
I did make note that we're gonna bring Lisa Cullen in June
Look at 9:50.
and target September. to
which
have
one of
her
them?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
From the beginning.
Okay,
to
okay.
the
We'll do that
delivery
right
evaluation.
after, right here.
Good, thank you, honey. That's your
We can
So-
stay here.
I'll ask for a motion.
For that,
update, okay, that's. on
Yeah,
the
Lisa,
list.
delay
And
it.
in June,
Okay.
In June, okay.
and then September is the deadline to have the evaluation. I think
And that's,
I just put that right there.
evaluation September. Okay,
So at the beginning, I'm gonna have,
good, we got
Tom,
that
make this
pretty much together.
we'll have
Then-
Tom make this motion about delaying that. Because we need to vote on it.
Yes, okay.
Okay,
That's on the-
so right when we
Delaying.
get back, the budget intentions.
Yeah.
So,
And then, this is the review the accreditation subcommittee, Tammy Carmen and McKinnon, did we have updates? Or we don't have to do updates on,
I put for March,
okay,
we'll have Colette and Tracy come in and start with an overview and talk about the regular report.
okay. The accreditation definition,
Yeah, and the accreditation definition because for that.
okay? It was a.
on the coming biennium.
Madam Chair, I move to remove consideration of that item from the agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to remove that item from the agenda. Could we have a
Madam
vote?
Chair?
Yes,
I'm sorry,
Pardon.
I could not hear what item we are discussing. My sound was cut off and I could not hear. Could we please repeat that?
sure. We are voting concerning to confirm the commission budget intentions on the upcoming biennium. Sorry, I'm stumbling speaking today. I asked for a motion, Tom motioned, Peggy seconded, and we are now offering discussion. We're just removing, for removing it. If not, public comment. Okay, all in favor of removing the confirming the commission budget intentions for the upcoming biennium, say aye. All opposed? say
Aye.
no. All right. Okay, so now we'll go on to discussion items. Reviewing the state library base budget approved by previous.
The commissioners had a question about the base budget that was approved by previous legislators. We've put together a memo that describes that process. Sharon, I don't know if you can bring up that memo at this point. And we wanted to open it up for questions from the commission. And I want to thank Nancy Hall from the Governor's Budget Office, who's also with us and available to answer any questions.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I have a question for perhaps Nancy Hall. The change in the general fund of $522,000. How much of that is reflected in present law and projected pay plan?
Can you ask the question again? I had to close my door. It's so noisy out. Sorry.
Yes. So looking at the general fund line, there's a biennium change of 522,000. Is most of that number due to present law and projected pay plan.
I'll give you, I'll look at it just a second.
Personal services would be a projected pay plan.
Right. Make sure I'm in the right version.
Karen, I don't know if you can bring this document up.
So your question was with regard to the personal services adjustment is 256,000 a year, roughly. Well, 256 and 279,000. So that is because the base budget adjustments, the statewide present law adjustments for personal service was 256,000 and 279,000. And there were a couple of other really minor little changes for fixed costs. The fixed costs went up 182,000 and 108, well, for each year. And that's due to ITSD costs mostly, I would guess.
I have a further question for Mr. Paul. In listening to the Section 80 subcommittee, I heard there was a $47,000 increase in fixed rate adjustment. So we charge other agencies.
Yes.
And I'm unfamiliar, not remembering very well how that stuff is calculated and where an agency would plug those costs in there. If we've contemplated those costs at our level and sought approval for that fixed rate adjustment and been granted it, at least as of the decisions of a week or two ago. What's the 47,000 pertain to and how's it calculated?
This is Nancy Hall from the Governor's Budget Office. I forgot to say that before, so sorry. The calculation was based on the usage of the data systems by state agencies. And it's several components. Melissa, maybe you can help with that, what the components are. I don't have it in front of me right now. And then the rate that they it isn't really the rate that they use it, but who uses it and how much they use it. The NRIS data system.
So the way that we identify, the way that we're able to identify who uses this data is through ESRI licenses. ESRI is for the software for our GIS across the state. So we look at what other agencies have those licenses and then how many they have. And that's the way that we're able to divvy out these costs for the program. And we recalculate this amount every 2 years during the EPP process, along with the governor's office, and that goes in through the fixed cost process that happens at the governor's office. They then add those amounts to the fixed costs of all the other agencies, and that's what's included in the present law adjustments that you were just referring to. And so the way that we determine that amount is by calculating the total cost of the program in the previous year and making sure that the fixed cost is at approximately 1/3 of the cost of the entire program. So that's why there is an increase. from last biennium to this biennium.
Then I follow that up. So does that mean that the cost of the Esri contract went up? And this is just apportioning it to all the users?
No, it's the cost, the cost of, well, let me stand corrected. The cost of Esri licenses did in fact go up, but that process is handled with Aaron Fashaway and SITSD. Those costs are included in a fixed cost rate, the ITSD fixed cost rate, and that is approved in another agency in another section that has nothing to do with us. The cost of of our NRIS program is what I'm referring to. And so that is a cost that we incur at our agency, that we calculate the total amount of that program and then divvy out the costs. Let me say that differently. The cost of our NRIS program is calculated. We look at what is 1/3 of that. And that amount is how we decide what our total fixed cost amount should be. So that includes this year, the increase of $47,000.
It's 1/3 the amount that is attributable to other people's usage,
Correct.
not our in-house usage.
That's how we charge we only charge 1/3 of the program out. And then we cover the cost with other funds. So it's not a true fixed cost, because a true fixed cost with other agencies covers the entirety of the program. But the governor's office has identified that we would only charge 1/3 of it.
Thank you.
And those costs that are used for that calculation are the water operation costs, and what's the other?
Natural Heritage Program.
Right. And then that is calculated, the cost of that, and then we take 1/3 of that and divide it by the Esri users. The only place Esri is involved is that's how we determine the usage.
Okay.
So that we can split up those costs among the agencies that use the system.
Madam Chair, can I just ask a curious question? Is personal services, that's salaries, right?
Yes.
So shouldn't it be personnel services? I mean, personnel and personal are different words.
Yes.
Great.
Okay,
We've
just
always
want to
wondered
clarify that.
We've
I
always
mean,
wondered that.
I
too.
heard
Yeah.
this during the joint committee, subcommittee, talking about personnel stuff, and it's not personal, it's personnel.
Thank
We'll
you,
go through
Brian.
this if you want to.
So they call it personal statewide then?
Yeah.
Oh, instead of
Yeah.
personnel.
Okay, well, that's.
Isn't that funny?
Correct. Yeah, that is correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Having taught technical writing at MSU, that made me nuts.
Yeah, I'm always looking at that.
So, and to Tom's earlier question, all of the increases that you see there in that biennium change are attributed to statewide present law. There's no increases outside of statewide present law.
Anybody else have any further? Seriously?
Was your question originally meant to go backwards or forward?
Which question?
That you wanted this data? I wondered if you had wanted it for the last like 3 or 4 years, but you wanted it future.
I didn't specify.
Yeah,
Whether how far the look back should be.
Okay, so this is adequate.
I looked at.
Okay.
Okay, shall we go ahead on to the glide path?
Mhm. Are you satisfied, Tom?
Yeah, it is actually, okay. Okay, let's go ahead, Evan and Jenny, which wants to?
My friend Evan is here to talk about the glide path.
Awesome.
Yeah, I guess first thing, Evan Hammer, Digital Library Administrator, right up at the top, I want to apologize when we converted this to a PDF. It looks like that very first chart or table, there was a 2029 field there that got chopped off. I don't think that's we can certainly get that to you, but I'm not sure how important that is. This is this was the version of the glide path that we presented to the interim budget committee back in June. And that we used through the interim budget that was available to them throughout the interim. We have more current versions. But like I said, I thought it was useful to have this in here as reference, just so you understood where. That was still not our starting point. Our starting point was the fiscal note with Senate Bill 60 last session, but that was updated there. So the very quick overview is that during our budget work session with subcommittee, the Section E subcommittee, they asked us to provide a glide path if there was no additional investment in the MTSRN, and that's page 2, the January 21, 2025 glide path. With the lack of support, additional staffing support, we project that there'd be slower subscription purchases and project that as stretching out to 2033 instead of 2029. After we provided this to the budget subcommittee, they then asked us for a version of the glide path that has us going self-sufficient in 2029. If there was, basically asking what additional funding would be needed to keep us on track there. And so basically the page 3, February 12th, 2025 glide path is the updated version of what's on page 1. The most significant change there is the platform hosting fees. After June 1st, in negotiations with the platform provider, we got those prices down significantly. And so you'll see that the platform hosting fees are much lower than they were on the first chart. There are some other adjustments based on not being able to add stations this year, but they're much smaller than that version. So
You have like a contract with them, and it was lower that much.
yeah, it's negotiated. It's yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's great.
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Yes, Carmen.
Aaron, in your professional opinion, what is the biggest driver for the subscriptions?
Evan.
Yeah, no, I was trying
Oh, sorry.
to, you mean what's driving the people that are purchasing? Is that? your
Yeah,
question?
yeah. What basically can the state library do to increase subscriptions, or what are we currently doing? What do you see as the main task that would help with the subscriptions? Because that's to me the biggest part that hopefully we can influence by what we're doing.
I think, in my opinion, it's a combination of awareness and exposure. And where I'm distinguishing those two is there are people either that don't know that this exists or are unclear on if they can use it, how they could use it, how it might differ from the workflow that they're currently using. So that's where I talk about awareness and the exposure. The unfortunate reality is that a lot of people need to physically interact with this to be willing to make that investment. And so we do. I think you all are aware that we had the pilot for several years, and several people were able to get on and use it at no cost at that time. And we had a pretty good conversion rate of not of necessarily of everybody that got access to it, but of the people that did use it during that time tended to come over and purchase it. But for a while there, shortly after we transitioned to a pay model, we didn't have any kind of trial, and we brought that back in because we discovered that they really have to get that on their devices, get out in the field, not just, find that they can bring it up to get out in the field. And so we're not too surprised right now. We had anticipated that over the winter, there'd be a little lull in subscriptions because nobody wants to go out there right now. So, but we've had a lot of interest. We had a webinar, again, we had, in a perfect world, we could have done this in person, hands-on, but, I don't know how practical that would have been anyway, just the geography of the state, but in early December, we did a webinar where we had some vendors come in and demonstrate exactly how to get on it and show them, you know, the actual device while they were showing it. We had, I think we had one targeted at surveyors and one targeted GIS. And between those, I think we had nearly 200 people. So there was interest in what we were doing. We haven't had a lot of conversion from that, but I think that's largely, it was early December, going into the holidays, and then of course weather. So I am working on following up on that right now, but I think the big, we still don't expect that to take as much until the weather gets a little bit better. And even, well, actually, in particular, additional trials. We had a few people take trials, but knowing that it's a limited time for the trial, we want to get them at a time when they're about to go out in the field and say, hey, just a reminder, you can sign up for a free trial and test this out as you're planning your summer season this year. So sorry, that was very long answer to your question, Carmen, but those are the two areas that I think are most critical.
I would just like to add, so that awareness and exposure is driven by staff time, having the time to be able to organize those webinars, attend conferences, and do that kind of outreach. And we were not able to hire the tech position that we had anticipated hiring due to the drop off in MGF funds. And so that means that Kazi, our operator, is having to spend his time operating the network, responding to customer requests, and he's not able to do that outreach. And so a lot of that outreach is actually falling to Evan and myself. And our time is obviously limited, especially right now during the legislative session. And so it's really staff time to do that outreach that is our single greatest limiting factor.
Follow up on that.
Yes.
Madam Chair, do job descriptions throughout the agency and other parts of the agency allow some flexibility to help with that?
That's one of the things that we're looking at right now. How can we reassign certain tasks, deprioritize other tasks? And to what extent can people like our GIS techs, for example, be trained? Right now, they're not trained, but be trained to provide some basic support to give Kazi more time for outreach and quite honestly, to be able to take a vacation. He hasn't been able to take a vacation to do that work.
Madam Chair, can I ask one question? Or Evan? When I saw a form that I think went with the when I was listening to some of the legislative things, but the number one client right now is the surveyors in much of this, the whole, you know, I'm throwing it all together, but are there areas that you hope for more that you would like to see a boost in?
Yes. I would say that's correct. Number one is surveyors and more specifically surveyors and large engineering firms. That's where we've had good success. So we want to continue to push this in the surveying community to get more of the smaller surveyors on board. We really think, you know, the majority of surveyors stand to benefit greatly from this. And so we see that as a huge audience. We have reached out to the GIS community. There's a lot of overlap when it comes, not necessarily between GIS and surveying, though there is a little there, but both of those professions are increasingly leveraging drones. And so there's a lot of opportunity in the drone area. And then the other place where we have an immediate, we had initially targeted as our, if you group those all together, I'll call it a second, but you could call it a third industry, and that's ag.
That's what I was
agriculture. We have some connections there. We've built some connections, and the reason we put GIS before that was just because we had the connections to that community. And the ag community is one that we're not as familiar with. We don't have as many connections to, so we're building those as we speak. We've had some really great conversations in the last month and a half, 2 months, with some different groups that we think will really be helpful in getting the word out. And then I'll just mention, there are several more. I won't go into detail on all of them, but the other that has come up most recently we knew that construction is a huge user of this kind of technology. And so that we're already kind of preparing some materials there for outreach with
Okay.
construction.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, without mentioning a number, I've spoken to people in the industry. And by and large, they're quite happy with what they see quality wise in most areas of the state. But one key individual said that it would be much more marketable at a lower price point. And of course, I'm jealous of every dollar that's possible to be attained. I furthered up questioning with this person and I said, well, if it was at that point, would you expect sales so that the revenue stream was greater after the price decrease? And this person thought it would be. I've spoken to people who are kind of piggybacking some of the services, maybe just a little bit of behind the scenes. So that it shows their value of the service, but maybe at a lower price point. I know it's really awkward to change rules and pricing and stuff, but that's a place where the state doesn't have the flexibility of a private enterprise, but it's definitely something I'm finding as I talk it around.
Thank you for that feedback. And so you're aware we're actually working on a survey right now that really digs into that question. We've definitely had some feedback about the pricing. I would say, given the amount of feedback we've gotten, that the complaints about pricing are relatively small, a handful of individuals.
Can you remind us what the price is right now?
$1,500 a
That's what I
year.
thought.
Yeah.
$1,500 a year.
So, you know, it's a little perplexing. I think the big challenge there, which might feed into exactly what you're saying, is well, what's perplexing is we know examples we've gotten across these industries are massive cost savings by leveraging this. And so it's a little perplexing, like, you know, why would $200, $300, $400, $500 make that much of a difference if you're going to save $10,000, $100,000, $50,000? These are different industry numbers we've gotten from users that are anticipating the types of savings they can see. Having said that, it is a change, and we know people struggle with change, and they feel that it's a risk if they're not, you know, they haven't been through a full season with it, so they don't know what's going to happen. And so maybe there is a place there where we do need to consider a lower cost. We'll look at this. We intentionally are structuring the survey not to give them a choice of different price areas, but instead to have them give us feedback on likelihood of purchasing with those, because right, I mean, if you got a survey and it said, would you pay $600, why would you check anything other than the smallest one, right? I mean, it's human nature.
Yeah.
So we're gonna dig into that, and that fits in with some of the feedback we've gotten from Utah about the way they approach it. Theirs is a little less formal. They just go into a room with a bunch of subscribers and say, you know, raise your hand if you think you'd be able to go a little higher. And they actually, you know, people see this as valuable, and they actually do from time to time express a willingness to pay a little more.
Have we considered a sliding scale for the smaller businesses?
That's another area. There are a couple of aspects of the pricing that we struggle with. You know, what I'll preface this with is that we're trying to keep administrative costs as low as possible.
Yeah.
And so the easiest way to do that is you know, a fixed flat rate
Right.
cost without a lot of flexibility there. So we've gotten complaints about just the overall pricing. We've also had people asking about not doing annual. Oh, I'm going to use this only 3 or 4 months. Can't I just pay for that? But the problem becomes if you start to make all these exceptions and all these, that's going to cost us a lot more on the administrative side to maintain and manage. And I'm not sure, you know, that, you know, if we did a monthly, for example, or a 6-month version, how much cheaper we could make that. It's still.
Well, I can see not doing the monthly or the whatever, but I really believe if you've got great big surveying companies and engineering and construction. And then it is usable for small operations, a sliding scale, especially when you get to ranches and farmers. I mean, there is such a big difference in that in Montana to where it'd be really helpful if it was based on acreage or whatever. And I know that could be an administrative nightmare, but that could get along with what Tom's saying, if you're a smaller group, you certainly can think, well, there's two of us compared to this engineering firm that has 100 and some, and we're paying the same. A sliding scale might help. I don't.
The other thing I would say is, we've been looking at different industries and different examples from around other states to determine how to do this. It would be great, and we think maybe we've identified some resource access to some state economists that can also help us ask these kinds of questions, that would have better data about these kinds of industries and what people might expect to pay in those kinds of industries. So with regard to the question of the subscription costs, we want to be really well informed when we make any kinds of decisions.
So we have a mapping service, and I know we pay more than 1,500, but my son-in-law's not answering me back. It isn't in service right now,
Yeah.
but I know
We asked
that
someone
it's
from
more.
MSU Precision Ag, and he said they pay about, it was 4,300.
Oh, I know that we pay more.
And we are aware of, other technologies that are cheaper.
Right.
We're also aware of, in the surveying world, one of the most common alternatives, best practice prior to real-time networks existing was that you had your own base station that you set up and used. There are surveyors that have made an investment in that technology, and they're gonna stick with that until that becomes obsolete.
Ours
I
was on the
understand that.
satellite.
Yeah.
So,
So we'll be looking for that turnover, as far as the time to, get some of those people on board, but, yeah, I think, I had one more thought along the lines of your question, Tammy. Now it's escaping with them. Something I'm exploring with Kazi is there are certain types of uses of the network that we could configure how it provides information. Right now, we provide a single signal that people connect to. So it's kind of difficult to distinguish. You're an ag user, you need less complexity in what you're using because your equipment is simply going to take this measurement versus other ways to use it that could be more complex. If we could come up with that, then maybe we can explore the ag use. Without that, if someone calls up and says, I'm gonna use it for ag, but they turn around and use it for survey, and that's where that sliding scale issue, we would have to have some way to enforce that.
Yeah.
The way that they use it.
That's the other big issue, is we don't have a way to check and verify. It would just be on their honor.
right.
And we truly, we don't have the capacity to do, other than, turning it off. That would be the only way we did force anything with users.
Madam Chair?
Well, we know that- 1 second, Carmen, you would know, like egg users, they would only use it from March until September.
Yeah. But that would require us to monitor and.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Yes, go ahead, Carmen.
From my original question that started this, what drives subscriptions? I guess my takeaway is its exposure. So I'm happy to hear that we're doing free trials, right?
Yes.
And I think if that's what drives subscriptions, as long as we don't take away from the quality of the product, trying to spend more time on exposure would be great. I'm kind of thinking of the library consultants. Physically traveling around the state is very time consuming, but there is nothing like a hands-on trial. So if we can if we can do more of that, great. If our staff has the time, if we can shift some time temporarily to do something like that, that would be great. But I understand from the discussion we've just had that this is very complex with price points and different users. And I understand that Aaron and his staff have done a great job of thinking through all these things, and it is quite complex. But I'm hopeful that we can get this to be self-sustaining.
Thanks, Carmen. And I'll just add another aspect of trying to get that exposure. We've been working really hard. We've had engagement calls with a number of survey equipment vendors. So to your point of it's very time consuming. There's a lot of value for these people to be able to promote it. You know, they can sell equipment. And so we've been engaging with them to encourage them to do that hands-on themselves. And we're doing more and more of that. We're trying to create those same relationships in the ag community, and ultimately we hope to do the same with the construction industry. So.
Madam Chair, what are the other operating costs at 225?
The other operating costs are initially that's primarily the purchase of nodes. So whenever a station is built, MBT is building the majority of the stations. When those are built, we have to pay a cost to get those onto the network. And then long term, there's going to be the replacement cost for stations. And what we're, you know, this is still the early years. What we would anticipate once the network is fully mature would be needing probably on the order of 200,000 to 300,000 a year. Basically, 10 to 15% of the stations needing to be replaced. They last 5 to 10 years, and if we're anticipating 150 to 200 stations on the fully operational network, but of course we have some upfront time to transition to that as we're building out. Thank you.
Any more further discussion with Evan?
Madam Chair, I have one question for the commission. I appreciate what you're doing. I think we're doing really well, giving the limited resources we can give you. Is the commission interested in having extra staff, as Jenny said, they're looking at moving into this? Is this a priority? I've always felt my priority for me was getting services to local libraries, et cetera. But if we've set this up as such a major part of our program, do we need to make it a priority to ask that more hands be given from within the staff to Evan, if we can? I mean, is that a priority for us to get this up and running like it needs to be?
Madam Chair, I think we've already heard some movements in that direction.
Right.
Looking for possibilities under the constraints of labor.
Of our labor.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying add anyone, I'm just saying, do we have people we can move in? Because this is a priority right now and it's got a time limit. And so we have to treat it as such. So,
I mean, we've given that direction to staff.
Okay.
We've told them, as we're looking at our FY 26 budget and priorities, we want to see at least a half an FTE within our existing staff
to
to
help
free
you.
up Kazi's time. And so we've asked them to come back to us with work that can be deprioritized in order to allow for that to happen.
I'd like to see that reflected in the minutes, because I think that's a really important part of helping Evan succeed. I think, you know, sometimes we sabotage our own people by giving them directive and not giving them the ability to do it.
Right.
So-
Let's say go out
So,
and tell all about this, but when there's one guy,
and when he's coming into the key time,
right?
I think it would be a good time to put some of the other people on hold and move them over here.
So I just want to repeat back what I heard. You want the minutes to reflect that you support the staff's efforts to prioritize staff time to support the MTSRM. Is that?
Yeah,
is that-
Yes.
Especially March
And
to
please
September.
update.
And please.
Yes.
Okay.
Is that acceptable? That's my opinion, but I don't.
It's acceptable, yeah.
I'm sure
Yes.
half an FTE is enough.
Yeah, I know,
Yeah.
but
Start.
Better than nothing. So. Okay, anything else? Because we'll go on to grants.
we are, right on time, by the way. I want you to know that. You're doing great.
Okay, federal grants, there we have a list of them.
Yeah, is someone running the screen? Can we get?
I have a couple copies if people need them, but
Sharon? Can you hear us? Can you share the, list of federal grants?
Does everybody have it on the computer?
I have.
Okay. And we can discuss it, yeah.
Let's go ahead.
So we can discuss it.
Madam Chair, the reason I asked that we put this on the agenda is that, we have a new administration, and that's no secret. And we have many, very strong executive directions, and one of the very first was that any businesses, organizations, associations that take federal grant money, cannot have active DEI programs. And first of all, I do want to point out that Jenny said we don't have active DEI programs. My initial concern was that, and I want to start by saying that Tracy has done a phenomenal job with all her training efforts. And so, again, I go back to the commission. But last year we had at least one, the Empower Montana, but a few others that were getting accreditation, or you could get it by taking, and those classes were heavy DEI classes. So we have to that's why I want to make sure that we have studying, that, you know, as a country, we are moving towards colorblind merit-based. And so whether we like it or not, that is the new standard. And we will lose the studies that are going on in this use algorithms to pull out from all these groups what is happening, and also the keywords, and also the words that people are switching them to. I'd like to be proactive on this and not get kind of in trouble or controversial behind the 8 ball. So my concern was that with our studying of the classes and the certification, we can stay to objective classes and be careful. Or as a group, we may decide federal grants are not as important as maintaining what people see as what they would officially call the DEI programs, that, and maybe the commission wants to go that way. I personally want to keep the federal grants, and I don't think it's a problem for me to go to colorblind merit-based and not worry about that. So I just felt we had to have an honest discussion about it now, again, so that we are not caught behind reacting and as a press issue and controversial. So that was my only concern. And my biggest concern was access to our classes, that even though, as Tracy said, we're not offering those classes. It was Empower Montana, but it was on our webpage. We gave credit for it. That officially pretty much makes it our class, even though. So that's where I'm coming from. I really would like to have other people share. I know there is frustration at the whole idea and concept, but I just felt like we had to hit it straight on. So I'd be happy to, personally, that's all the reason I asked for it to be there. There's some very valid federal grants here that I don't think we want to put at risk. I think we do not want to risk these. So that's my feeling.
Madam Chair, I have a question for Tammy.
Go ahead.
Does this say if we have one item anywhere within the state library that could be labeled as DEI, we lose all of these grants?
I don't think that's been established yet, but I do know that it's going to be in the next few months there will be clarity on that. So I think we have to decide. You know, is the government grant worth it? And I see some very valuable government grants here. But it will be established.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I think Tammy raises some very valid points. I also think that DEI is dead. I mean, it is. I think this issue will resolve itself. I think that the state library will probably receive some pretty strong directive from the governor's office with respect to this. I don't know that we really need to spend a lot of time policing something that isn't going to exist anymore. I think the state librarian has heard the concerns that some of the commissioners have expressed about some of the courses that have been accredited in the past. And she understands,
And we do have a committee.
yes,
now.
what is happening at the federal level with regard to executive action. I really do think this issue is kind of becoming moot in a way, thanks to the current administration.
Thanks, Brian. Good insight.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
We don't have a DEI department, so we're ahead of that game.
Yeah, we are. Okay, Carmen, yes.
I agree with that assessment from Brian. And I'm looking at the grants we have. The only one where this is a concern is our library development grant, because we are in the library world and that's where this whole thing blew up. I don't think anybody has a problem with, bat monitoring and all this. So it would only be that area. And I agree with Brian that we're going to look at that when we're looking at our certification and accreditation. And we do not officially have any program or statement or any, state library program that would fall into that. So I think we're pretty safe. It's good to be aware of this. And I agree with Brian that this will probably take care of itself.
I agree also.
Yeah, the only other point that I would make is as I said, we don't have any DEI initiatives. There's nothing in our work that supports any kind of DEI efforts. At this time, I expect to receive very strong guidance from IMLS about how we can use these funds and changes to how we can use these funds based on the recent executive orders. And of course, we have to adhere to those guidelines. We haven't received updated guidelines yet, but I'm certain that they're coming. And then most importantly, please commissioners, keep in mind that these federal funds are the funds that fund our library consultants. They fund the Montana Shared Catalog and Montana Library to Go and the Courier. We certainly would not do anything to put those funds in jeopardy. Please keep in mind that these dollars fund staff.
And that you're not working towards any way to
Promote
make
books.
yeah, or to make things happen that you would lose staff.
Absolutely.
So Madam,
Sabotage, you're not trying to sabotage anything.
can I just ask the state librarian, how many staff positions are grant funded? What would we be looking at losing potentially?
Looking at this list, more than
Probably 15 to 20.
yeah, I was gonna say about 15.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
I would like to make an additional comment. I think the only potential danger zone that we should look at is who we collaborate with and who we endorse, and whether those entities have any DEI statements or policies. Since we ourselves truly don't, I think that's the only area where we could be drawn into any kind of conflict. So let's just keep that in mind.
it's a good point. Thank you, Carmen.
I think that goes along with the accreditation and
Yeah.
classes that we approve.
Right, and that will be in the committee.
I had one other question on this grant list. My other question was the SITBOT, the pilot citizenry botany program, and I know that Tom and I both expressed that we want to make sure that there is backup for people who say they've seen or report that they've seen endangered weeds, butterflies, mammals, whatever in Montana, and put them on the list and sort of whoop. Is that a growing of that program? Is there a backup for that? What does that look like?
Bryce wasn't able to be here today, so I
Yeah,
certainly rely on him to provide more detail, but essentially the program is designed to encourage more citizens to report plant-based species that they find. But to your point, Tammy, that's what our staff do. Our staff then look at that information and verify it before it's
yes.
determined. It's not just generally made public because
Mhm.
someone thought that they saw a particular
Butterfly.
rare plant.
Go
I mean,
grass.
I can say I see rare plants all the time. Nobody's gonna believe me.
I see butterflies, I know.
Madam Chair?
Oh,
Just a second, Evan was going to speak. 1 second, Carmen, okay?
I was just gonna say a step further that since we house the state botanist, for years, people will just reach out for identification of items. And so part of the idea here is that we leverage that citizen action that's going on and find a way, if we're already having these contacts and people are showing us information that we could be putting in, how do we structure a program to leverage that to build our databases? So that's exactly what you're addressing, exactly the concerns.
And I really appreciate that professionalism from you, because we had a discussion, Brian and I, about this, because our Bozeman City Commission was working with them, and they're very determined that from Bozeman all the way to Four Corners to stop any kind of building, including sheds, if anybody spots anything that could be an endangered species. And so there has to be backup, that I saw a butterfly or I saw a bird or I saw a worm, because there's big consequences right now to this. So Brian said, yeah, he's very aware that. Yeah,
The funny side note of this is we've had challenges over the years. It's been better recently with our email system, but for years, people would submit very large and many photos, and our botanists always had this problem of their mailbox being locked down because it was filled. They would fill.
look at this
As
problem.
quickly as they got stuff out, it would fill up again, and they couldn't get messages because these pictures
That's
were
funny.
blocked and everything. So, yeah, so people are pretty passionate about submitting those things.
And they're verifiable.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're verified.
absolutely.
But I wanted to make sure people understood that we don't just react and close down a construction project in Hamilton because somebody says, I saw a butterfly that's rare. So we do verify, and that's important for people to know.
All right.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Carmen, sorry, yes.
Just to maybe further put people at ease, I looked at a program that my library runs that you can contribute to as a private individual. And you do have to submit a photograph. And in this day and age, you can locate the photograph and you can date it in time. So it is not that simple. You do have to provide some kind of documentation for what you saw or think you saw. And then if that is reviewed by somebody who's a professional who can say, no, that's the common such and so butterfly, that's not this rare deal, and you can locate it in space and time. It is, I think, credible. This information is credible because it does get vetted. So I think any kind of information can be abused, and people can get on their hobby horse and try to do something. But I feel that the information is vetted and is reliable, even though it's called a citizen botany program. It is not simple to just submit anything.
Exactly.
Thank you. All right, let's go on to the standard reports.
You have your regular standing reports. We appreciate your patience with not having the second quarter financial report. As you know, we've had some staff out currently, so that's the reason why you don't have the financial report. And Melissa's here if there's any follow-up questions, but I know she's tracking things as well, and we'll endeavor to get those financial reports to you as soon as we can. You have your regular quarterly staffing memo as well as the contracts memo. I appreciate Carmen bringing up the website broken links report, that was when I was going to ask if you wanted to continue to receive, since it's not on your current list of goals. And just for a little bit of information, there will always be some broken links on the website as staff are continuing to make improvements to the website. But when I was asking about sort of the current status of the number of broken links, one of the things that I was told is that sometimes if a page just times out, it's gonna report as a broken link, even though the link isn't broken. And that's likely driving some of those hits that we've seen more consistently now for the last several reporting cycles.
I'm not concerned about that as much as just getting fixed, and then it gets fixed and there's no problem, so, I mean.
Yeah.
Always happen to do that, so I don't think that's that important.
So is this report of continued value to you? We heard Carmen suggest that it's something that we could perhaps not report on.
Would it, is this research you do anyway, or do you have to do it for the board?
We're doing it for the board.
Yeah, I would agree if it's being fixed and addressed, we don't need it.
I agree.
I agree, so.
Perhaps it could only be reported if it exceeds industry standards.
We'll do some
When
research.
you have a flag,
Yeah.
we're in trouble, you could bring it to our attention and we could urge you to.
Otherwise.
That's a really good suggestion. Okay, only if it exceeds. Thank you for Carmen and Tom and for that.
And should we go ahead to the second quarter staffing memo?
I have a, Madam Chair,
Yes.
I have a question about the work plan.
work-
What happens? What happens at the end of the fiscal year with stuff that's not finished? Does that automatically carry over?
It depends on the nature of the project. We do take our time to evaluate whether or not we think that the project should continue to be a priority. We'll look at the reasons why it wasn't accomplished and if those reasons continue to be barriers or not. If we do think there are things that need to be prioritized, they will carry forward, but in some cases they may drop off.
And then a follow-up question.
Go ahead.
Do we have a draft for the next fiscal year's work plan? Who's working on that? How many iterations? How do we come up with the work plan? I guess that's my question.
Well, a couple of things. It sort of starts in the spring, as we start thinking about our budget and planning for the budget. Leads are asked to identify what their work plan priorities will be for the coming fiscal year. And then look at how that relates to the funds that are available. Rebecca has a spreadsheet that she asks leads to fill out with their work plan priorities, and then they get aligned with budget and resources. And then ultimately that work plan comes to the commission, usually either in June or in August. But we'll start the process of identifying those priorities typically in March and April.
Could I make a request that the commission gets a report on your thoughts on the projects that were not finished? And which ones are going to carry forward and all that to get a better idea of what is and is not on the next work plan. I'm just trying to look ahead.
Yeah.
Because I think this is an excellent way to keep everybody accountable, just like the commission is now trying to do with having written goals and then being able to follow up. I like the fact that the state library as a whole has this work plan. And I would love to just get a report on how the new one's coming along, what's going to be on it to continue, which things are being dropped off, just as an information item.
Sure, we can do that now. We'll give some thought into how we can best share that information with you.
Yeah, and you know, if we can save you work and you don't have to create a completely separate document, if you can just even show us a working document, that's probably good enough.
That's what I'm thinking too. That sounds good.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I've made the request before and it was not supported to attach staff hours to each of the projects. But I would like to reiterate my request. I'll just leave it there.
Which,
So that projects had a budgeted staff time,
Okay,
and that could be tracked over time or periodically or at completion.
I would
Madam Chair?
support, that.
Yes.
I would support that.
Go ahead, Carmen.
I have a comment on that. Jenny just said that they align the goals and the budget. So I think those monetary or staff time figures probably are already attached to it. So hopefully we get to see them too. Tom, I support that that request. And it sounds like that's part of the process anyways. I mean, anybody can come up with a bunch of goals, but if the money's not there, it can't be done. So I would expect that these work plan goals do have monetary and staff components to them. Is that right, Jenny?
They have monetary components. It's hard for us to get to the point where we're actually tying staff hours to them in a way that's efficient. We can spend a lot of time tracking hours to the point where we spend all our time doing that and not accomplishing the work tasks, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
Well, maybe we can get a rough idea through the monetary allocations.
We can continue to improve and refine.
I would just add that we track all of our expenses, personal services and operating expenses by individual project. So we're able to identify costs and tie them to individual projects. I think that will get you what you're looking for.
Right.
There's an overall personal services number within each project,
Okay.
but to actually tie every hour that somebody works to it is very time consuming to do that. And I think that what you're looking for, we already track that by project in the budget. So you'd be able to say, okay, this certain project has this many dollars expense to personal services and this many to operating. And we can even go down to the second level if you want to know if it's computer charges or.
So from
Paper
plans.
what I hear you saying is different people, staff members work on different projects. throughout,
Yes.
yes, and so it would
Many,
be,
many different
possibly
projects.
be difficult saying, okay, I worked today on the GIS, and then I went and worked on, you
Yeah,
know, something.
that's not something,
It doesn't add value to our work.
yeah.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I'd like to ask a question with this. I think with so many people in the field that we have that are not in the office, it would be very helpful for me. I don't think they're all project driven. I think some of the people are, working continually on, like, well, of course, Tracy's continually nonstop 24/7, but on many projects and keep it going. It would be really helpful at some point for me to see the job descriptions and the time involved and the outcome judgment for all these people in the field that we have. I know that the governor was working on a tracking system, because you have a lot of people in the field. OPI has a tremendous number. I guess, I don't know if in the field means the same as not in the office, but non-office people. And the governor was working on a way that they could be monitored. We have a responsibility to know that those people are doing such and such that requires 20 hours, or this that requires. You're so talking about much. the work from home. Yeah, the work from home. And I know he was putting together something else. He had told us that. But I don't know what's happened. But I do think we need to have some kind of job descriptions, understanding. And some of them are project people, but some of them are not. They work.
Even when they're not, though, we have all of our dashboards that are measuring the work that's being accomplished, the impacts that staff want to have through that work. So, you know, Tracy's a good example. We have a dashboard about the consulting program that tracks the number of consulting questions that they're answering and the types of questions they're answering and the number of libraries that they're visiting. And so all of that is already available through your dashboards.
Okay.
Is there any further discussion about? Hopefully that was on the current federal government, but it was on the work plan. Is there any further discussion about this discussion items?
Does that answer your question, Tom, that you and Carmen and I support getting?
I'm going to look at the financial thing as a pretty good proxy
Okay,
for my question.
okay.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
just to summarize, I had asked for a report on the kind of the future work plan, and I'm satisfied that we're gonna get such a report that is not detailed and purposefully written, but just kind of a working document that Jenny has. And I expect that report maybe in June. Is that appropriate, Jenny?
That sounds great, Carmen. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
that's what we're done. Standing reports, general commission.
I'm finished unless there's any questions about the standing reports.
No. Would this be a good time to bring back the program that we're ready to vote on?
We possibly could. We have to be finished by 11:25. We have a speaker or an informational presentation.
So this might be a good time to
Yeah. we have-
bring that back, because I
7
think
meetings,
Jenny's
7
got it already.
Okay. All right, we'll bring that back. We'll bring back the,
Sharon, could you share the document, about the goals one more time?
bring back the great commission goals.
Thank you. What my other questions? My faraway don't get old. Okay.
I guess I kind of consider this a working document
Mhm.
and as further tasks get defined and if there's any additional deadlines, they can be added. Carmen raised that point around the question of the ELSA award and working backwards from that October goal. So I think that's additional information as we identify those tasks that can be added to this document. But at least at a high level, I hope this gives us a clear picture of who's going to be responsible for the work and when we intend to bring that work back to the commission.
I am looking at, oh, Madam Chair,
Yes,
I'm looking at the shared screen right now, where it says under description, review the accreditation certification award of continuing education credits. We have the committee lined out, and then for a deadline, we have Tracy and Collet in there. Do we have a timeline? Do we want to assign more of a timeline? What are we doing there? And do we want to add Tracy and Collet to the committee? Or
Yeah, sorry, I should have put Tracy and Collet with the committee rather than in the due date. Directly below that line, we identified that we're going to start with
Report.
a report on the current program, including definitions of accreditation and certification. And that report will happen at your March meeting. And then from there, I think we can identify additional tasks that need to be accomplished and due dates for those additional tasks.
okay, great, thank you.
do I have a?
Go down now.
Yeah, let me see the next page.
Thank you.
Carmen, I attached your name to shorten the trustee manual just to be a point of contact for Tracy in case they have any questions. I hope that's appropriate.
Yep, that sounds great.
And you put Tom on the one above, right? Tom for the,
Yeah, for the trustee baseline data.
yeah,
So we'll bring that report in March. And then the trustee manual in June.
You have to send us a copy of this, please.
I will.
So you need a motion to accept this?
Yes, I do. Okay, do we have a motion to accept the
Was this something on the accreditation? Yes, it was, right?
mission goals for the upcoming year?
I move we accept the commission's goals as listed for the upcoming year.
Second,
It has been moved and seconded that we accept the commission goal for the upcoming year, for the coming year. Wait,
For
Could
not
be-
coming year
or
or,
do we have upcoming or
Or the-
upcoming year?
what do we want? What we talked about some major ones.
For, oh,
Are we talking calendar year or our fiscal year?
Yeah, we don't, yeah, maybe we don't, yeah,
mhm.
just accept them.
just commission goals as
Yeah.
provided.
Goals.
Let's do that.
Madam Chair, I just want to thank you and the staff and the commissioners. This is a really important step towards our goal this year of improving communication and improving our effectiveness, being answerable to staff, being answerable to Jenny, being clear. I think this was really well done, and I thank you for all your pre-work.
Sharon, I think that Tammy seconded it.
And take off for upcoming year, just put accept commission goals as provided. And then we can attach the goals.
Is there any further discussion?
Do we need to say as provided in the attachment and then attach it?
Yeah,
There
that'd
we
be
go.
That sounds good.
As provided in attachment.
Is there any further discussion? Do we have any public comment? And if not, it's been properly moved and seconded that we accept the commission goals as provided in the attachment. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed
Aye.
say nay. All those opposed say no. Okay, it has been approved that we accept commission goals as provided in the attachment. Okay. Is Michael Dudley with us? Seen?
Michael, if you're with us, could you unmute? I don't see anybody, Michael. Or online. Do you want to keep going? And then if I see
Yeah.
him pop up, I can say something?
Sure, that'd be great. Okay, thank you. Okay, let's go ahead to the annual business calendar. Oh, hold on, first we need to review meeting motion and directives, so we'll let
Yeah.
Jen go ahead.
So I will share out the mission goals document that we just reviewed, so you all have it. That was really the only business item, but I did want to review a few additional notes that I made. There was an intent for us to have the minutes reflect that the commission supports the staff's intent to reprioritize staff to support the Montana State Reference Network. And we'll bring a report back on that. I imagine that some of that reporting will actually be reflected in the revised work plans as we see different staff working on MTSRN and deprioritizing additional or future work goals.
What are you under here? Is this before the speaker after?
After the
after.
speaker,
Okay,
just
all right.
reviewing the
11:40.
agendas. We will no longer bring the website broken links report unless we find that there's an issue that exceeds industry standards. In June, we'll bring kind of a summary document of the work plan priorities that we anticipate continuing for the next fiscal year and any that might be dropping off. And anything that we can do to help provide additional clarity on how our budgeted staff time relates to those work plan priorities. If you have questions about the information we provide, please do let us know.
Are there any additional intents from this meeting for future meetings that I didn't capture?
We did say that we would be getting a goal list. Maybe
Yes.
just email that to us.
Yeah.
Is there anything else? Anybody? With anything? Carmen, online, do you see anything else? You remember anything else that needs to be, okay?
No,
I felt the emphasis that we help Evan with what he's trying to reach is real important. Yeah.
And you have that, yeah. Alright. Okay.
And then the next thing was something that Robin and I talked about adding to your regular standing meeting agendas, and that's just a list of future agenda items. Oftentimes we get requests for agenda items or questions from commission, and we want to make sure that we're capturing them in a way that allows you to consider whether or not they should be on a commission agenda, how they should be prioritized along with other commission work, and whether or not you want to see them on the next agenda or a future agenda, or if your question's been satisfied. So we just want to keep kind of a running list of agenda items that any commissioners can add to or make requests of Robin and staff to help kind of keep us on track. The other point I would make about this particular approach is to recognize that things are important to the commission, and we appreciate that. Not everything's urgent, not everything has to be on the next agenda, and so by keeping this running list, we make sure that we track what is important to the commission, and also make sure that we're using our agenda time and staff time well. So these were the
Madam
things that
Chair?
had come up since your last meeting.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Carmen?
I like this. I like that we're doing this. I think this is a good idea to make things more continuous for the commission. And I had a additional thought that I wanted to bring in. Our agenda always has a kind of a preamble that details that we adhere to open meeting law. I'm wondering if it wouldn't also be useful to outline in there the parts of MCA or just a link that authorize the commission to do its business. Because that seems to come up often. It might be good to remind ourselves and the public what we're actually supposed to do as a state library commission according to MCA. So we're quoting in our preamble kind of how MCA dictates our open meeting rules. Maybe it would also be good to have something short in there that reminds us and the public of what our job is.
That sounds good.
A link to that.
Yeah,
A
yeah,
link would be a great idea.
yeah, we can easily add that. Thanks, Carmen.
That's a great idea, Carmen.
It is.
I had a question about the speakers. Who is recommending the speakers that we have, and is that
Tom
something
has taken that on.
you have? But could other people recommend speakers, or? I'd like to know what the process is.
Yeah, Madam Chair, could we
Yes.
revisit this after the speaker? Because
Okay.
I actually share Commissioner.
Yeah, I just want to
concern. It's
know.
like I have no idea
I-
who Michael Dudley is and what he's speaking to us about.
Right.
And I think.
Has it come on yet?
I mean, I found them extremely important. I've shared them with a lot of people so far, what we've had, but I also would like to know.
What is the criteria for how these speakers are selected? I guess is the question.
Yeah, and if we could recommend.
It is my
Okay.
understanding, Madam Chair, that these are just suggestions. I have never made a suggestion of a speaker. I don't know that who else has besides I think, Tom.
And
So
I appreciate what we've got.
I think it's at the discretion of the chair to have such an
You can
informational
definitely-
presentation.
Right, it is my discretion. I am taking Tom's suggestions. I would say that if we want to keep having these, we can, and if you want to suggest any, you could, I guess we do maybe perhaps. Should we set a criteria? Do we need to do that? What is your feeling as a group?
Madam Chair,
Yes,
if we
Sure.
want to have a procedure, maybe something very simple would be for suggestions to be collected by the chair and then the names put forward at the end of a meeting. And we vote on who we want to have present at the next meeting. If there's more than one suggestion, we just pick one by voting on it. Then we have a process for how we do it.
What I've appreciated so far is that they were really relevant to what we were talking about. So we'd had the whole YA and it was really helpful to find out the history of the YA. I was grateful for that. The time before we were talking about the very topic the person was speaking to, so that was helpful, but with our not joining the American Library Association, but this, anyway, that's all I wanted to say is I think we need to make it real relevant to what we're studying.
Madam Chair,
yes,
maybe we need a more of a process. If a commissioner makes a suggestion for a speaker, we probably need the name, the credentials, and a rough idea of the content of the presentation. So that commissioners can choose the one that they like best, or that the person they want to hear from, or the topic they want to have a presentation on.
okay. I'd like to say that Michael Q. Dudley is on.
Make sure he knows his timeline.
Okay, and we have 10 minutes.
What did we have?
10 minutes.
It was
15
15,
minutes?
but we're late as of now. But we did go ahead and discuss some. Okay, we'd like to welcome Michael Q. Dudley. He is the Accessibility International and Extended Services Librarian at the University of Winnipeg. Michael is the coordinator for student outreach services to international students, accessibility services, and adult learners, as well as UW's ancillary programs, including the English language program, the collegiate, the PACE program, the access education programs. And I looked online, sir, and if I'm wrong about this, I'm sorry. So I'd like to say thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry I'm late. I was having trouble with the link. But I will take you to my PowerPoint now. I just wanted to thank you very much for the invitation to speak to you. I am representing Heterodox Academy Libraries and our Substack Heterodoxy in the Stacks. And the presentation is Defending Neutrality and Pluralism in Libraries. And there's the URL for our Substack, hxlibraries.substack.com. Heterodox Academy Libraries is one of 25 communities of the Heterodox Academy, which is a nonprofit that was formed in 2015 to promote viewpoint diversity and open inquiry in universities. And our community is a forum to explore heterodoxy as opposed to orthodoxy in the context of academic librarianship. But as you'll see, we address issues related to public and school and other types of libraries as well quite frequently on our Substack. The co-founders and co-moderators of HX Libraries are Sarah Hartman-Caverly and Craig Gibson. Sarah's with Penn State University and Craig with Ohio State University. Both had long experience with the American Library Association, Sarah with the Office of Intellectual Freedom. Craig was one of the co-authors of the ACRL Framework for Information Literacy for Higher Education. And both of them came to realize that ALA's institutions were being more motivated by progressive politics and abandoning principles of neutrality and intellectual freedom. They wanted to create a venue where we could explore alternative viewpoints in librarianship. And so they proposed to Heterodox Academy for a Community, which was approved August 27th, 2020. Here's a timeline of our organization. In purple is just the institutional landmarks when we were formed, when we met, and then when we launched our Substack. The bubbles in green are symposia that we held. But I want you to notice in particular below the line, these are external events associated with the American Library Association and the resolution to condemn white supremacy and racism and fascism, as antithetical to library work, which was passed at the Winter Conference in 2021. The ALA then charged a working group on intellectual freedom and social justice to come up with alternative language to neutrality, because the resolution said that library neutrality had upheld and supported white supremacy. In the summer of 2021, the ALA also adopted a new revised Code of Ethics with Code of Ethic number 9, which explicitly charged library workers with being agents of radical social change, of seeking out and dismantling social injustice. Now, if you want to look at detail about our organization, we did have an article last year on Not Dismantling Libraries by Craig and Sarah, and the timeline is reproduced there. So we launched on May 3rd, 2022 with our Substack with an article called Against Radical Empathy as a Core Professional Principle, an open letter to the ALA Working Group on Intellectual Freedom and Social Justice. This was our collective response to the ALA resolution. And we started off by rejecting the proposition that neutrality-related language needed to be replaced at all. And we specifically argued against the proposed replacement, which was radical empathy, as being inappropriate as a professional stance because we wrote, it's an emotional response nested at the level of the individual upon which no coherent institutional responses may be developed. And it also implied, we said, being radically empathetic with or towards some members of the community and against others. So it would institutionalize partisan bias, which would alienate many members of the community, which would lead to a loss of trust, which we said would be difficult to rebuild. And I'm very pleased to note that this has been viewed well over 10,000 times. It was our first article and it took off on social media and was seen by thousands of people right away. Now, the types of articles that we have published in the last 3 years range from lengthy think pieces, long-form essays, also hot takes responding to current events, book reviews, movie reviews. I reviewed Matt Walsh's Am I Racist, for example. And then there's also some satire as well. So I just want to go through some of our top ranked and notable articles to give you a better sense of what we're writing about at Heterodoxy in the Stacks. The second most viewed article was written by myself, Library Neutrality and Pluralism, a Manifesto. This was something I worked on for about 1.5 years and just gradually adding more and more to it to eventually come up with a 30-point statement regarding the need for institutional neutrality as a procedural means towards serving the needs of a multicultural, pluralist society. So library neutrality isn't the goal, it's a means to serving the public interest in a very diverse society. Because of the diversity, the multi-ethnic, multiracial, multi-faith society, libraries shouldn't be promoting any one ideological project beyond facilitating the foundation for individual autonomy, liberty, and equal opportunity. So we can strive to adhere to what we call multidimensional library neutrality in terms of value neutrality, stakeholder neutrality, procedural or process neutrality, and goal neutrality. We can strive towards that as an aspiration. It's continually evolving. We don't always meet those standards. Another very popular article have efforts to suppress gender-critical books and speakers done irreversible damage to librarianship, again, by myself, pointing out the hostility that many librarians openly express towards gender-critical authors and speakers, like Abigail Schreier and her book, Irreversible Damage. And so as a result, very few of these books are ending up in our libraries comparatively. and also the activism of some librarians and administrators in canceling speakers whose views they object to. In Canada, the Canadian Federation of Library Associations, there was an open letter signed by over 240 librarians criticizing the association for defending intellectual freedom in libraries stocking irreversible damage. And I argue that this indicates a failure to serve the public interest, to represent both sides, to facilitate dialogue. And I pointed out that we're not defending authors from death threats, which I think is really deplorable. This is what I said was professional doxaholism, or the addiction to belief, the addiction to righteous certainty, and not being open to alternative points of view. Another highly viewed article is our timeline on the board firing of Niagara-on-the-Lake Public Library CEO Kathy Simpson. Here in Canada, we have Freedom to Read Week, which is just coming up this February. And last year, this time, she wrote an op-ed defending viewpoint neutrality and pointing out that the conventional narrative around Freedom to Read Week always highlights books that are challenged, but those that are favored by the progressive left, and not the many titles that they themselves would challenge that represent more conservative points of view. And for this, her board fired her. And so we've got many articles. This has made international news on both sides of the border and in Europe, actually. So this was a big deal. This idea, of pre-censorship or self-censorship or shadow banning is something that has been dealt with a number of times. So Sarah Hartman-Caverly's How Big is Libraries' Insider Threat Problem, citing a study that showed that 5 out of 7 library workers believe that neutrality should be abandoned in the favor of advancing progressive causes. And the library literature is replete with calls for library workers to act as activists and change agents. This has resulted in biased collection development and programming decisions. She highlights quite a lot of instances that have made the news where progressive views and values are promoted, as one author put it, through nominally coercive means, if necessary, while more conservative viewpoints get excluded. Now, this idea that library workers should be radical change agents is something I took on in a piece called Wicked Problems and Comprehensive Doctrines, Interventionism and Social License in Librarianship, also a very popular article. This was a text of my keynote speech to the first summit of the Association of Library Professionals. I understand Caleb May from ALP has already spoken to you, so that's great. The literature and ALA have positioned library workers as agents of radical social change. Now, in addition to my MLIS, I have a master's degree in city planning. And I point out that the literature and the history of city planning, with its often, disastrous projects that they didn't question their assumptions. But that history can teach librarianship about the moral hazards of intervening in society, especially because librarians have been granted no social license to be radical change agents, and we have no expertise in the complex, wicked problems that society is facing. A very popular piece of satire on our post, on our Substack, New Librarian Hour Stirs Controversy by the pseudonym Heterodox. And this turned the debate over Drag Queen Story Hour on its head by imagining that librarian story hours are a new innovation, but are being protested by men in drag who think that they should be reading the stories. And even though they have no expertise in early childhood ed or librarianship or anything. And so it frames the debate in terms of expertise and accountability. Why would public libraries turn this core function over to members of the community that have no expertise in this area? I also recently published a piece called The Neutrality Conspiracy, where I revisit that ALA resolution against white supremacy and fascism, and I ask, has neutrality really upheld white supremacy and fascism? Because this was the first whereas in the resolution, and it was supported by 5 citations to the literature. And so I asked, did these citations actually support that contention? And I found that none of them actually did. The ALA shouldn't have relied on those, that the literature instead tends to adopt kind of a conspiratorial tone in its depiction of the origins and purpose of library neutrality. Craig Gibson, in his piece Green Shoots and Civic Dialogue in Search of a New Library Telos, warns of a stultified monoculture and loss of historical purpose in libraries because of the culture wars, which is incentivizing self-censorship and shutting down open inquiry, which, as we've said, leads to a loss of trust. Librarians need to work to regain that trust. And so he talks about pursuing partnerships, initiatives, and there are many out there that he highlights that can facilitate civic dialogue between sectors, between disciplines and classrooms and so on, and that this is something we should pursue, the dialogic function of libraries. So I think if we could summarize, the recurring theme is that neutral publicly funded libraries play an essential democratic role in pluralist societies in contributing to the creation and sharing of knowledge by facilitating open inquiry and the exchange of diverse views between free individuals in the public interest. We just passed 1,000 subscribers this week, so it's really good timing that you invited me. We've got this steady progression of subscribers since we started. This morning it was 1,005, so very happy about that. And very proud to let you know that the Heterodox Academy awarded Heterodox Libraries its 2024 Open Inquiry Award for Community Excellence for promoting open inquiry in library sciences. Future plans, we have recently started a podcast. I've got several posts up there where I am reading articles in the critical librarianship literature and commenting on them, as well as one where I just read an article of my own. We're also talking about collecting our work into an edited book for publication. That's in the very early stages. We do have a guest submission form on the Substack. If anyone is interested in contributing, you can go to that form, or you could contact our managing editor, Bridget Whipf. And if you have any questions, you can talk to Sarah, Craig, or myself. And there's our email addresses. And again, there's the URL for our Substack, hxlibraries.substack.com. So thank you very much for your attention and for the invitation. Do you have any questions?
Questions, anyone?
I have a question for Michael.
Yes.
If a library wanted to evaluate, say, the last 100 or 200 or 500 books they put in their nonprofit collection, their nonfiction collection, is there a template? Is there a process for them to say, okay, this is how we're doing on neutrality?
That's a very good question. Libraries are doing a lot of assessments and publicizing them, but in the opposite direction, like they're looking for works that are outdated and offensive and that, on issues of race, gender, and so on. But I think that that's sort of an audit on ideological diversity would be a great thing to do. And that's something we could look at creating, some kind of a template. Thank you for the question.
May I ask a question?
Go right ahead.
Yes.
Okay, Michael, I think my frustration is, along with what Tom's talking about, is when I visit libraries, there seems with the ALA to be a huge push. These are all the progressive books you need to be getting. But
Right.
there isn't really anything countering the other side, and that's kind of what Tom was touching on. But Tom put together his own list of these are very basic, acceptable books about American history, American government, that if you're going to be a balanced library, you should have. It seems to me that we need to have, and for you, the Canadian, but we need to have this other side, because, from the one extreme, we have a case in Montana where a very progressive librarian just went into a library and pulled out 800 books she didn't like. And I mean,
Right.
that's like, whoa, how can one person even approach getting away with that? But on the other subtle is this promotion of one side to the point that the other side is obliterated. Which is,
That's
I
right,
mean, I've
yes.
been to libraries and it doesn't exist. There are none of these very basic American history, American government and wonderfully written books about American accomplishments. They just don't, they're not in the libraries.
Right. I know. And this is something we also see with displays. Like there's always the displays for socially progressive causes or themes or ideas, but not for other, contrary points of view. So yeah, that is frustrating, and that it's coming from the professional associations
It is, it's
as
very
well.
mandated.
So yeah,
So
yeah, I hear you.
it's a very sad thing we've let happen. And I think it's very deliberate by the ALA, but it's gotten to the point where it's reached what I call critical mass with American people. They are finally saying, wait a minute, this is one-sided and dangerous for people or kids and people seeking information. But I
Right.
don't know, obviously, myself, I'm guilty as a more patriotic, conservative, loving American who has not made sure that side was represented. I mean, the other side was active. Why was I just sitting here thinking it was okay?
Right. Yeah.
So,
Well, I could relate to that because before 2019, I was taking it for granted that our profession was being balanced and unbiased and representing multiple points of view. And I learned kind of painfully that that wasn't the case. So part of it too is the major media, the news media, have also really absorbed that progressive narrative. I'm posting on Monday morning a link to a video of a Canadian YouTuber who's looking at a recent Canadian Broadcasting Corporation coverage of the book banning debate in Canada. And it's a great piece of media literacy and media analysis because he's showing the rhetorical strategies that the news media use to frame the progressive dominant narrative about book banning and not actually seeking out and talking to parents and saying, okay, what is it in the contents of these books that is actually bothering you? And so they didn't actually address the core concern of parents and parent groups. So watch for that on Monday morning. It's Paul Chato. He goes on YouTube as the former network executive, but it's quite well done.
Thank you, Michael, for your presentation. I've been struck by the ability of many librarians to proclaim their own unbiasedness and neutrality at the same time as they proclaim how very proud they are that they are agents of change. And I felt that those two things are mutually exclusive.
Oh, yeah.
And it surprised me that people can claim that they can embody both of these ideals at the same time, but I think that's impossible.
Oh, I think so. Yeah. And I think that unfortunately that public libraries in particular, their great role in contributing to the development of society is in facilitating informed debate about the issues of the day. If we become the voice for what that change should be, we're short-circuiting what is our primary function in a democratic society.
Wait, where are you? Yeah, gone too far.
Yeah.
Would you please repeat from your presentation that the types of neutrality you had?
Oh, yes. Yeah, that requires like a whole presentation on its own. My colleague John Wright and I wrote an article that was published in the ALA's Journal of Intellectual Freedom and Privacy in 2022, November 2022. And we called it multidimensional library neutrality. So it's value neutrality, that as a library worker, I don't impose my goals, my values on the library user. The institution doesn't impose its values beyond the values of, classical liberalism, of individual freedom, freedom of thought, freedom of speech, freedom of expression. Those are, great values. But in terms of your own ideological project, you don't impose that on the library user. So that's value neutrality. Stakeholder neutrality is that you treat all the stakeholders in the community equally. You don't take one side over the other. You don't condemn half of your community as bigots because they don't agree with your point of view on something. Then there's process neutrality, where you've got transparent policies that apply to everyone. And that's particularly important for collection development policies, for meeting room, bookings, so that you are welcoming all, if people want to come in and give presentations and it's legal speech, if you disagree with it, you can't just cancel the booking. So that's process neutrality. And then goal neutrality is that library users have autonomy, they have freedom, they have their own aspirations. They're coming into the library to research something, and I'm not going to, as a library worker, steer them in a direction that I prefer. I am going to help them find the information that they are seeking to meet their goals. So value, stakeholder, process, and goal neutrality. And we realized, John Wright and I, when we wrote this article, is that the literature, there's such misunderstandings about neutrality. The ALA never defined it. It's not in the Bill of Rights. It's not in the Code of Ethics. So there's this widespread confusion about what neutrality even means. And so it's very easy for people to say, well, it's contrary to the interests of social justice. We're not neutral. Let's not be neutral. But it's never been well defined. And so we hope that is the Association of Library Professionals has adopted that definition in their bylaws, which is really gratifying.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Michael. We appreciate you taking the time to come and visit with us.
You're very welcome. Thanks again for the invitation. And I'm sorry I was a little late there.
That's all right.
We were discussing broken links at that time.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks very
Thank
much.
you.
Take care.
Bye-bye. You
Bye.
too.
Thank
Bye-bye. All right, let's go on to. We're a little behind now. We need to go on to, we were discussing
State meeting.
discussing the selection of speakers.
The state meeting, I think we're at on.
No, we were discussing the selection of speakers. Should
Madam
we-
Chair,
Yes,
would you like me to repeat what I suggested right before we got into the presentation?
did anybody take that down?
I did take notes, but yeah, go
Go
ahead.
ahead, Carmen.
Okay, I thought as a process, we could pick the next speaker, or maybe pick a speaker 2 months ahead as a commission with a vote. And in order to do that, I would want to encourage commission members to suggest an individual, giving us the name, the credentials, and the content loosely of what the person's going to speak on. And maybe based on that, each commissioner could decide what they most would like to hear about. And we could vote and pick a speaker that way, so that we have an official, transparent process of how we pick a speaker.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
I would like to support Commissioner Cuthbertson's suggestion. I think a more transparent selection process would be appropriate. I also would like to request that when speakers are put on the agenda, that there is a description of what they're going to be discussing. I think that in the interests of appropriately noticing the public on what we're going to be covering, I think that having more than just a person's name and title is essential.
sure.
A description of their
the
presentation.
topic.
Yes. Thank
Okay.
you.
And I would just thank Tom for these last three. They were really phenomenally. And it was very informative for me to hear the other side, which we haven't been hearing. So thank you for that. But yeah, I don't think we need a vote or anything. I'd like to keep it a little looser, but that's just me.
Can we add, so as you identify speakers, can they be added to that future agendas list? And so when we're reviewing that list to build the agenda for the next meeting, we have that information and you can discuss and decide which speakers you'd want to hear from.
It has been really helpful, so I don't want to lose it.
Okay, so
Does
let's-
anybody have a suggestion for a speaker already for our next meeting? Did anybody suggest anybody yet to the chairperson?
No,
No, okay.
We need time, and I wouldn't take time now.
Yep.
Okay.
So then are we setting ourselves up where we're not gonna have a speaker next meeting?
Well, we don't need one every meeting.
Okay.
And we'll be in Bozeman,
Yeah,
there'll be probably some other agenda items that we deal with. So.
Yeah, so just a reminder, we have about 6 weeks until your March meeting, so the preliminary agenda will be out to you on February 26th. And according to your bylaws, then you have until March 5th to give suggestions to Robin for the agenda. And then we'll get the final agenda emailed to you all on March 12th. And again, I appreciate that the topics you're raising are important to all of you. We'll do our best to prioritize them, and anything that isn't on the March agenda would be added to that future agenda topics list, so it can be prioritized for future agenda meetings.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
This is purely my viewpoint, probably not supported by anyone else, but we meet very few times for 52 employees for the responsibility we're given by the statute and for the work we have to do and the size of our budget. And I think trying to limit these meetings from 9 to noon is not always responsible. I think we used to meet till 3 o'clock. I don't think that's unreasonable for all that we have to do. I know some people would like to have shorter meetings, but if it means having a longer meeting so that we can understand the issues, that we can have these speakers, so we're much more informed and educated. I just personally think that we need to,
The reason. that-
today has been very practical.
Well, and today.
We've got the
we-
travel
yeah,
problem with weather,
Right,
so.
and that's the problem in the wintertime
Mhm.
also. And we're going
I
to
think
the
our
Senate.
visit to the Senate. is
Yeah.
important.
And our Senate's
Yes,
important,
and that-
but the last few meetings, there seems to have been a lot of pressure to end up by noon and I think that's very,
Last
a
time
little
we were-
unlimited.
It was like 2.
Yeah.
I think
I think we're doing fine, and I think we're doing really well covering what we need to cover. So, given the Montana weather, we all have to get on the road.
So just talking about the March meeting, one quick note, I learned yesterday that the Belgrade Library is not going to be ready to host us. So
Yeah,
we'll have our meeting at the conference hotel.
at the Grand.
At the Grand Tree, so
Okay.
unfortunately not at Belgrade, and hopefully we can get down to Belgrade another time, and I know many of you are in the Bozeman area, and they will have a grand opening, and I'm sure we'll get invitations, so, but unfortunately, that's the status of that meeting. We have some goal items for your March agenda, looking at the overview of the certification program and talking about that and bringing the current status of the trustee training. So those will be on your agenda. And then I did want to draw your attention to this future agendas list to ask if there was anything else on that list, excuse me, that you would want to prioritize for your March meeting.
Well, last year we had the big budget thing. Is that planned again for this baby?
No.
No, because we're not in the EPP
Yeah,
cycle.
that's what I thought.
We'll have your commission goals. I know there's been some discussion amongst commissioners about the hotspot program. We've had some discussion about our dashboards and improving those. And then we had a question about the applicants for the administrative assistant position. So, do any of those rise to the level of an agenda item for your?
We're getting our new person in June.
They are moving from Idaho and they'll be here in April. So by your June meeting, you should have a chance to meet them.
I'm excited to have them, but I'm sad it's that big a delay.
Madam Chair,
More than me, Tammy.
Hmm?
Not more than me.
I know.
Madam
Imagine.
Chair,
Yes, Carolyn, go ahead.
would we have any news about the hotspots by March? Or when is that financing question going to be resolved?
Possibly, we
I-
received that letter.
Yeah, I heard just this week that possibly in March, we'll know more about any federal funds that may be available for that program.
personally, I'm sort of losing hope that we would have any federal funds to support that effort at this point.
Could we put that on the agenda just as an info item? Yes, we have some news. No, there is no news.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else press or that you can think of right now? We always have time.
We added the accreditation report.
Yes.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
And we might have a speaker. No,
Mhm. Okay. All right, we have conversations with the commissioners, March 27th at 9:45 at the Grand Tree.
is that a
Have
Thursday?
we decided what format we're using, the previous one, or we changed that up, or?
At the last meeting, we talked about having tables with commissioners and staff to talk about different topics. Are you still interested in that approach? Or would you rather have the kind of group
I'd rather
discussion?
go back to the group discussion where we have a good turnout and then they ask us questions and work in the room. I thought that was very good the first 2 years I did it. And I'd like the other people to see how uplifting and positive that can be. But that's me. I wouldn't change what worked based on what
Yeah.
the problems last year.
But I was kind of thinking that we might get more input from other librarians, because sometimes you only hear from 3 or 4 or 5, in that group. You don't hear from a lot of them. That's why I thought a smaller group might.
If we
Bring
did
more
it that
input.
way, I would recommend that, I
A
have.
couple of commissioners at each table or something.
Yeah, well, I would recommend that, I've done this at a lot of meetings, but it's based on the date thing, and
Oh, and
you
they
give
do it
people
twice.
for 5 minutes at each table or
Mhm.
and then the commissioner, so you have the number of tables as commissioners. And then at the 5 minute or 8 minute or whatever, the commissioners rotate, so that you're not spending that whole time only hearing from that group. And that works actually quite good, because then people feel like they have time.
An hour. An hour.
Yeah, so if we had, 6 commission tables, we could do 8 minutes at each one and move to the next table and,
I feel that some will not be comfortable having one person at each commissioner at the table. I mean, individually. I've visited with people in
Madam
there.
Chair,
Yes.
it's not that I wouldn't be comfortable, but I feel that as an individual commissioner, I would be a private individual there, and what I'm saying has nothing to do with the commission or commission business. So I
And
would
that's
actually
exactly it,
prefer,
too.
I would
Yeah, that's
prefer a
why we
format.
aren't a commission unless we're a body.
I would
That's a great
prefer a
point.
format where whatever one commissioner says is heard by all the other commissioners and the whole
That's
room.
really
To
good
me,
point.
that's the way we can even, I don't know, I've been to events where there's a panel on a sort of stage, and then each one of the panelists answers whatever, says, hey, do you have a comment on this question or this issue? And you hear from every person on the panel just a quick sentence or two on something that was asked or something that's up for discussion. I would feel that's more representative of us as a commission. It would feel a little funny to me to be a commissioner at a table and then tell 5 people my opinion on something. It just doesn't seem to be relevant because the other commissioners don't know what I've said. And I can't, as one person, speak for the commission. So what am I actually doing then?
That's a really good point.
Right.
I thank you for that.
Yeah, I agree with Commissioner Cuthbertson, and I kind of like the idea that all of us get to hear the
What's being
comments
said.
collectively.
I prefer that myself.
I don't know if there's enough time to do this, but it might be ideal if we had a little bit of structure to the meeting, rather, like, I don't know if someone, whether it's a commissioner or a member of the staff, could facilitate a conversation, maybe come with a series of questions to pose to the audience. Yeah, I mean, I think that could be helpful, rather
I
than,
think that's what we've done in the past. Tracy was our.
But I think what we do is we only have questions ready if the librarians weren't ready. Like if there was a stall in time, but I didn't find that. I found they were ready, and there were some people ready to ask questions and make comments right off the bat. But I think it's a good idea to have some backup in case it gets quiet. And I think
Madam-
Tracy did it.
Yes.
Madam Chair,
Go ahead, Carmen.
I've experienced several conversations where Tracy was the facilitator, and it was excellent. I would love it if we could sort of be a panel and we take questions from the librarians and Tracy simply facilitates so that no one person monopolizes the conversation or speaks too long or takes over the floor, and we can get a lot of different topics addressed and have a good exchange of ideas. I think Tracy is really good at facilitating that kind of event, and I would love it if she could be our MC for this kind of thing.
Tracy, how do you feel about that?
Sure, I can do that. You would like me
Okay, we
to?
would appreciate it.
Yeah, she's done the last few and did
Yeah,
really
she
well.
did, yeah, she did. Excellent at what she did.
She is excellent.
Plus she gets them to talk.
Yes. All right, thank you, Tracy, for
Sounds good.
volunteering. Well, kind of volunteering for voluntoling. We appreciate you.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Carmen.
I also think Tracy is the right person because she is trusted by people on all sides, and I think that's extremely important for this discussion to be fruitful.
And we do know they will attend this year.
I think that's a very good point,
They
Carmen.
commit.
Thank you.
Yes, thanks, Carmen. Okay, thank you. Okay, so we've got that taken care of. Spring Federation dates. Did everybody take a look at those? Do you have any that you would prefer to go to? I'll definitely go to the Fort Benton one if I remember.
I'm planning on attending the in person, the Broad Valleys Federation. That's a
Oh,
day and a half, but I will just be there for the first day.
okay.
They're doing a retreat.
And they'll have their business meeting on the first day.
I think so,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, thank you, Brian. Okay, I will definitely attend the Pathfinder. Anyone else? I mean, we can always do this, of course, via Zoom. They usually are via Zoom.
But you know, that's all I could.
I know, Carmen, you'll be at the Tamarack, won't you?
Yes, but I would like to be there as a trustee for my library, not as
Okay,
a
sure.
commissioner.
Sure, I see. Okay, sorry.
I'll be happy to attend some of the others. Let me look at my schedule just by Zoom, unless they do not offer Zoom. And you know,
Right.
by Zoom is not as, it's not as good as being there in person.
Yeah, it isn't, but, I mean, Miles City, Wolf Point, those are, sorry, but they're a ways away.
Anyway. I will let you.
Put myself down for the Big Timber one, and then if we have baby updates, I'll do Zoom.
Yeah, when
So
I
you think
Zoom
you'll
up,
attend
I'll
Big
do
Timber
that.
one?
I'll try to.
Okay, great. I love that
Would that
library.
be on Zoom, Peggy?
What, I'll try to attend in person, but then if I can't, I'll do Zoom.
Oh, good.
And I can try to do by Zoom. I think I'll be in Bozeman during the Tamarack one, so. I can do that one by
I
Zoom
can
too.
do Zoom also. So which?
If we get the links for any of these, for Zoom, you know, it's easy to put them in the calendar and if you have a
Right.
time
The
to
only
listen for a
yeah,
while.
the only problem is you can't have a quorum.
Quorum, right.
If we
So Sagebrush, anybody? March 14th.
won't be here.
I can do that one on Zoom.
Okay, thank you. Okay, you'll do the South Central, Golden Plains.
I'll try that one.
Okay.
I'm gonna buy a one-man drone to get there.
Oh, there you are.
Can we navigate you via the
Yeah.
Real Time Network?
So, I can also try to do the Tamarack, or do you want to do, did you say you were gonna do that?
Well, I'm pretty sure I'll be in Bozeman, so I
Okay.
could do that one by Zoom for
I
sure.
can.
I'm
Robin
gonna
or
wait
Peggy.
and commit when I see the Zoom.
Okay, we can do Robin or Peggy, Zoom. Okay. All right, great, got those taken care of, okay.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
if you have a complete list of who volunteered for what, would you please email that to all the commissioners?
I certainly will. I'll get that
Thank
done.
you.
Okay, let's go ahead. Is there any public comment on any matter not contained in this agenda that is within the jurisdiction of the State Library Commission? Seeing as there's none, we need to zoom to other business now. Can we do trails at the next one? Would you-
All I wanna know is how we get on, and Jenny and I can talk about that.
Yeah.
I feel like because it is something we give money to, we have a responsibility to know and be able to access it as commissioners, whether or not we're in.
And I'll just say quickly, all you need is a library card from the state library,
State
and
library.
Marilyn can get you that, so just
Okay.
ask Marilyn for a library card, and she can give you more information on how to then use your library card to access the resources that we get through trails.
Yes,
And let's discuss making the hotel arrangements next time.
Okay.
Because, we already have plans on where we're all staying.
Okay.
well, aren't we staying, I'm taking Carmen, you're staying with,
Right,
Tom's there, Brian's there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can stay with me,
right.
but,
Well, I can commute, so I'm all good.
Okay,
Okay.
alrighty. Okay. Hey, could I have I guess we will go to adjourn the meeting then, if there's no further comments.
who do I talk to?
I move to adjourn.
Marilyn.
I second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that the February
Can you
12th,
just-
2025 meeting of the Montana State Library
Yeah.
Commission is
Or email.
adjourned. Do I need a
Send you
vote?
her email.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think we're adjourned. Okay, thank you, everyone, for being here. We appreciate your input.
That's right, isn't it? You have to adjourn.
I think.
Doesn't it look like that?
Yeah.
Just floating above our heads.
Yes.
It's so cute, but
It is
it's like,
adorable.
it's a cute pin, but I'm like, okay, how is that?
All of a sudden right there, it's the color.
Okay, we gotta eat because we have to leave in 20 minutes.
Food is here. We'll grab a box.
And Kelly will take, so we can get up there. Tom, can you take Brian? We're trying to not have cars to park.
I'll just walk over there. It's a block. Man, it's fine.
It's
There's no parking
freezing.
up there.
There's no parking.
I gotta.
So Kelly's gonna drop us off, and you probably can get in the car with us. if you want to.
I'm gonna
get a ride up,
so I'll walk down. Come back from my car. Which I was lucky we did parking spot here.
Yeah, we did too. Okay, thank you very much for everything.
So yeah, my dog, she's just.
I wonder, I forgot that my plug in, I forgot to plug in what Kelly got for me. That was really
Last
smart.
time